Welcome, welcome, welcome. Thank you guys all for being here. I'm excited about tonight's show. First and foremost, I want to thank everybody who's here tonight and everybody who's going to be coming in. We got a couple of slow stragglers. I'm going to forgive you guys, but in the future, I'm going to need y'all to be on time, okay? With that being said, welcome to Let's Talk Podcast. We're on Facebook, we're also on YouTube, and of course, our partner, Debate Talk for You, is also streaming live from his show as well. So you guys make sure y'all hit that like and that subscribe for Debate Talk for You. At the bottom, if you guys want to donate to Sal Showtime, he puts a lot of work in. You guys have no idea how much support, how much work he puts in for Let's Talk Podcast. He also puts a lot of work in for his own projects and for so many other people. Also, I want to give a shout out to Brother Ron, my husband. He's constantly pushing me, constantly coming up with great ideas and in different formats and just really leading this whole thing. So them two brothers right there, Brother Ron and Sal Showtime, definitely putting a lot of work in. And if it wasn't for them, this show wouldn't be happening. So thank you guys so much. Also, I want to thank Robert Reed and Zadok the God Hop for being here tonight. They didn't have to do this, but I'm glad that they did because there's so many people that can learn from the information that these two brothers are going to bring today. This is not a debate so much of a I'm against you, you against me. It's more like a dialogue. We're going to have two brothers with a lot of experience, very great speakers to come forward tonight to present to us their point of view as far as red pill, blue pill. The format is going to be broken down in a way where they're going to be going back and forth respectfully. Then we're going to have a separate section where they'll just have an open dialogue. After that, anyone who has any questions, you guys can hit the go into the comment section and put your questions in there. I'll let you guys know when to put them in, and then I'll present them to the our two speakers tonight. With that being said, I want to bring up our two speakers. We got Robert Reed and Zadok the God Hop. What's up? What's up? What's up, brothers?
How's it going, guys? How's it going? Shalom, shalom.
Yeah,
Peace.
everybody is excited about tonight's show. I'm excited. I'm here hosting, but I'm really just in the background like a fan. I'm like, what's happening? So y'all gonna have
What's
to excuse
crack-a-lacking out there, man?
any facial expressions I make. With that being said, I want to give you guys a chance to introduce yourself. So Zadok the God Hop, you'll be first. I want you to introduce yourself. Not just that, I want you to give us a breakdown of red pill, blue pill to you. What does it mean? How do you look at it? And also make sure you introduce yourself to the people.
All right. Well, hey, Christina, I thank you for having me on. Salute to Rob for showing up as well. He was able to free up his schedule so we could get this cracking. And salute to the audience, by the way. And if you watching this and you're not a subscriber, why? You ain't even got no good excuse. You ain't got no good excuse. But hey, at any rate, though, my name is Zadok. They call me the God Hop MC, but I have an intro, and that is it's your brother Zadok Ben Israel, aka the God Hop MC, hashtag just the best of nobody special, aka Young Chimney, because I'm made for the smoke. You heard they also call me Young Hookah for heretics in the build. So look, at the end of the day, y'all, I ain't nothing but a husband, a father, a Bible teacher, a student of the way, the Nazarene way. Some people call it the Christian belief system. And basically, this red pill, blue pill thing is very interesting to me. There's some dynamics of it that kind of remind me of liberal and conservatism. Sometimes we take words and we push them forward. But as far as I understand, like the whole red pill, blue pill thing is an affectionate snatch from the Matrix, right? And in the Matrix, yeah, because y'all see up here, I put the real Neo. In the Matrix, Neo was presented from Morpheus with either taking a red pill or a blue pill. And the blue pill was supposed to have Neo stay where he was and what he understood. And then the red pill was supposed to take him down this journey that was going to reveal the deep, understandings of the truth of the quote unquote Matrix. But interestingly enough, the ship, when he woke up on the ship was called the Babylon, right? And the whole Matrix ideology is really a biblical one. Red pill, blue pill, in my estimation, really represents the tree of life and the tree of knowledge of good and evil in the garden. And man was made and was given a certain set of principles. And one came along and told man, you're limited. God basically has you stuck here. But were you told this? Man, that's not true. If you do this, your understanding will open, and now you'll be like God, to know good and evil. So honestly, you know, with the original concept of the Matrix and where it comes from, for me, red pill is an exploration in knowledge opening up. Why blue pill is, hey, this is what I've been given, this is what I understand, and I'm good here. Now it takes on a different context because you could really use it in many different applications in business, in family, relationships, all kind of things where red pill does represent that moving forward, the knowledge opening up, exploring the unknown and not being afraid. And blue pill is kind of, no, I'm all right. I'm all right here. So that's my understanding of the whole red pill, blue pill narrative.
All right. Zadok. I can't say your whole name or your intro because I didn't remember it. It sounded good, but I didn't remember it. So I'm just gonna go with Zadok the God Hop. Okay, Robert Reed, can you break down to the people your concept of red pill, blue pill, and also make sure you introduce yourself to the people?
Absolutely. First and foremost, can you guys hear me okay?
Perfect.
Okay, perfect. All right. You know, like Brother Zadok, husband, father, Bible teacher. And so this whole concept of red, blue pill, I'm gonna stick to my regular pedagogy, you know, so the way I normally, you know, teach and stuff, I'll go to, you know, definition, and then I just kind of expound on there. So this whole idea, okay, I agree with most of what Brother Zadok was saying because he was drawing from the movie The Matrix, and what he said was accurate according to the, you know, movie, and the way he kind of extrapolated, you know, what he got from it, it was pretty close. It was right there. It was right there. So I can't really argue with that. But as it pertains to relationships, because that's what we're talking about now in this context, it's about relationships, marriage, and all that, and we'll get into all that. As far as red pill, and I'm just reading, I just Googled it, guys, so I'm gonna look down here at my iPad, and it says right here, red pill. It said red pills, okay, it caused someone to have their perspective dramatically transformed, especially by introducing them to a new and typically disturbing understanding of the true nature of a particular situation, right? So it's a red pill. So basically on the red pill side, there was a documentary, actually, it was called The Red Pill, right? And what it did was that it really expounded and really shed light on the male plight, you know, male rights and things like that, and how they've been you know, disenfranchised, you know, as just as human beings, you know. And it really got into the things that what we say, man, you know, male issues, right? And I think it's one of those things that really walked us into what we call today the manosphere and stuff like that. Red pill is part of that whole manosphere thing, and it's just truths that are usually not spoken because most of the time men suffer in silence most of the time. And so it's just a lot of truths that are spoken. For example, and we'll get into it later, but like, for example, there's a lot of domestic abuse towards males, right? But a lot of it goes unreported because it's embarrassing, right? It's embarrassing, you know, but again, it's only so much that a man can do. So anyway, going into blue pill, I'm gonna read that particular definition as well. It says, the blue pill describes a continuity of the current state of life, i.e. living life without knowing its meaning or running away from the truth in order to stay as is, right? Now, this is not my definition. I'm just reading it right here on Google, right? And so it goes back kind of like what Brother Zadok was saying, you know, it's kind of status quo. I like how things are. The status quo, you know, is like, I don't want this new information. Put me back to sleep. You know what I'm saying? That kind of thing. The same thing in the movie. It's just like, hey, plug me back in. You know, they just like how they like living in a dream, right? So as it pertains to relationships and, you know, marriage and things like that, a lot of people are blue pilled because it's all they know. It's all they know as far as how relationship dynamics, you know, intersexual dynamics, things like that. They just go with what they know. You know, for example, you may hear me say it a little bit later, but like an example of it is like happy wife, happy life, right? That's a little saying that we have, a little moniker, stuff like that, right? That's blue pill. That's blue pill. That's status quo. That's status quo. We just kind of accept it. Okay, happy wife, happy life. Yeah, that makes sense. Kind of thing. That's not red pill. Red pill's like, hold on, time out. That kind of thing. So that's what we have as far as red pill and blue pill. And I'll just end right there so we can go ahead and get into it.
All right. Can you guys hear me good? My internet, I feel like it's acting crazy.
No, I hear you fine.
Okay, because I keep like freezing. Okay. Oh, you stopped perfectly, Robert. The little thing went off. Yeah. Okay, so this is what I want to do, right? I want to give you guys an opportunity to discuss some of the issues that we talked about last week, because that's why we're here. We're here about what happened last week. So I'm going to give a brief summary of it. Basically, Robert Reed was on here with Reese Roberts, and they were having a discussion about Passport Bros leaving. Mm-hmm. And Robert's position was, in order to save our community, we got to save ourselves first. So if you're not finding what you need here, then you can go somewhere else and get it. That's what it takes. And Zadok came on, and he had a few things to say. Now, I don't want to put in I don't want to say what Zadok said. Since he's here, I want him to be able to express himself. So Zadok, since you're going to go first, what would you like to say about last week's show, and what questions would you have towards Zadok about last week, about the Passport Bros and the whole movement and everything?
Well, I didn't really have any questions about Passport Bros. They're a minority of men from our community. Most men would never be Passport Bros. So as I was listening to the reasoning, some of it made sense to me, from what I've heard over the years. I mean, it ain't like Rob created the concept. Rob identifies with the concept in many ways, it seems. The issue was that I felt, and remember, Rob wasn't on here by himself, so I didn't come on just to talk to Rob. There was other individuals around. And it was an idea almost like, okay, hey, because Rob said something that was interesting, where Rob was like, hey, even if you want a black woman, you do know that black women in a much larger way, black people, period, came off ships in the Caribbean and South America by much larger numbers than us even here. So even if you wanted to, if you just got to have a black woman as a black man and you can't find what you want here, hey, if you went to South America, maybe Cuba, maybe Dominican Republic, if that was important to you. But if that's not, I got to stay black, then there's other places you can go if you can do that, and you can go and, get you a wife. And that's interesting to me because my uncle, who was in the Air Force in Okinawa, Japan for about 9 years before he even came back to the States, has a wife from Japan. She's Japanese. Okay. So for me, it's no issue of like, no, black men shouldn't do that, or even black women, passport sisters, whatever. But the thing was that I heard too much, in my opinion, of, hey, black women in America are this, are that. And I felt it was such a generalization, and I felt it was a disservice to black women in America, because a majority of my time is spent around black women in America. So because of that, I came on and said, well, hey, since the majority of the guys listening will never be Passport Bros, what are you guys' message to them if they don't feel they're finding what they're looking for? And then there was the idea of what wasn't established, in my opinion, good enough, traditional versus modern. And so those were some things when I was like, you know what, I think we need to have a conversation with men. This is cool, but let's have a conversation with us men about this. So that's where I stood on last week. But overall, as far as brothers who can afford to, go to other countries on business and things like that, and they find a woman that suits them as a man, by all means, bro. I think that's a good thing.
I'm glad you cleared that up, because I think a lot of people in the comment section last week might have been a little confused about what you were trying to say. So I'm glad that you came on and you explained your position on the Passport Bro. So that's good. Thank you for that.
That's actually what I had said first. I said, hey, I don't think it's anything wrong with having a wife from another place. I was just, talking about the things that I heard. It was like, okay, women from other places might be this, but women here are this and are that and are this. And I felt it was too generalized about women here. So that's really where I was talking. It had nothing to really even do with it,
Well, go ahead, Reed. Go ahead, jump on in there, because he has no issue with passports, so we can just put that to the side.
Okay, yeah, we could
His
we could put that
issue,
to rest.
you heard what his
Now,
issue is, so y'all two go ahead.
okay, well, no problem. Well, my thing, let me just go ahead and respond to one of the things that you had said. You said that what you heard was, generalized. Hey, I'm not gonna say, what you heard or anything like that. I am gonna say from my position, it wasn't generalized, because I differentiated between a traditional woman and a modern woman. A traditional woman can come from anywhere. There are traditional women right here in America. There are traditional women abroad. But for the most part, there's mostly, because we are here in America, there's mostly modern women here. Now, does that mean you can't find a traditional woman? Of course, I did, So, it's so the generalizations, I use the numbers and things like that. We speak in generalizations, a lot of things are in generalizations. Otherwise, we can just go back and forth on anecdotal examples, things in our life. Okay, I can tell you all the anecdotal things in my life, or what goes on in my circle, and okay, you can't say that it's wrong. But you can do the same thing. You can say, okay, in my circle, it's this, it's that, and I can't argue with you. I'm like, okay, I don't know that, so I can't say anything. So then there's really no conversation. So that's why I will lean on, peer review type things, or I'll lean on stats, data, statistics, because it applies to a broader audience. There's almost, I can't think of many examples that doesn't have an exception. There's always going to be some exception, but we're talking about the larger majority. So I just want to say, on my part, it's not general, as in all or nothing. I do it with the numbers. I'll do it with the numbers. This percentage is this percentage is that kind of thing. That's what I look at. That way it's objective, and not just, oh, this is just Robert's opinion. I'm like, okay, I read a stat, but it's the numbers. It's not my opinion. It's a stat. So I just kind of leave it at that. But we take it wherever our lovely host wants to take it. So what do you want us to do?
I want to say this. I respect that. But I said I had an issue with even numbers. Remember, I made the point. Remember, I asked about presidential polls.
Yeah.
And I said, how many of you on the stage or in the audience have ever been reached to ask anything about the Democrat Party, Republican Party, who you want for president, stuff like that? And most people was like, no. So I was like, so when you hear about polls and statistics, they're coming from limited data, and then the data itself, while it might represent a true number, like I think one that you gave, that's an inarguable situation. They say over 50 to 60% of American marriages end in divorce. And out of those divorces, about 80% or so of those divorces are actually filed by the female.
Correct.
Great. But that doesn't give us the minutia on how much of that is justified, where the woman should not be in that marriage, versus, hey, a woman has abandoned a man. She just, whatever. She just crazy. She just want things her way. It ain't going her way, and she out. The minutia, the 80% represents what? Does it represent that all of those women weren't justified or not? So that's what I'm saying. Like when stats are quoted, I like to go deeper into the stat, because the stat itself, like you said, it's a picture. But now if you look at the picture and you look at details in the picture, you can see stuff in the back and things like that. So I don't have an issue with stats overall, but I know that stats themselves are still a snapshot of something that still doesn't tell us the full story.
That's true. I think for the most part, remember, before we had no fault divorce was way down, right? Because you had to prove, at the time, you had to prove why you wanted a divorce. You had to substantiate, I wanted a divorce for this reason. So divorces were way down. And then a few decades ago, when we got into no fault divorce, the market was flooded with divorces. So right there, so you don't have to prove it. You could just say, I don't want to. And so once the women had the power to get that divorce, it didn't matter for the reason. So a lot of it is still going to be irreconcilable, right? One of the things that we do is we default to the extreme, because I went to look at the stats as far as like top 10 reasons people get divorced and stuff like that. And everybody want to go to the extreme, for example, like abuse. And abuse is not the number one reason that people get a divorce. But and I'm not saying you're saying, I'm not saying you said that. But what I'm saying, a lot of times people will say, oh, well, maybe she got a divorce because he was abusive. Okay, that's a small percentage. Abuse is not good, but I'm saying that's a small percentage of why people get divorced, is what I'm saying. So I'm like, why every time to justify or to make a point, it's some extreme, oh, he was abusive type of thing. And then when we look at the stats, a lot of times, and this is on the blue pill side, when you tell someone that stat, like let's say someone who never heard this stat. Now, some people, they try to justify it, but let's just say somebody who never really heard that stat. And you say, okay, over 50% and, knocking on the door, 60% of divorces of marriages end in divorce. 80% is filed by a woman, is initiated by a female. 90% if she has a degree, whether she has a bachelor's, a master's, a PhD, 90% of the time she is filing for divorce, right? And the first thing they do, they default. They go, oh, well, what did he do? No, what do you mean? What did he do? Why does it automatically have to be him? Because if the roles were reversed, if 80 to 90% of men were the one initiating the divorce, then the argument was, well, see, they're just deadbeat. They just can't commit. They just can't, they just don't want to take care of their family. That's what we would get. But since it's the other way, we still have to reverse it and figure out a way why it's a man's fault. Somehow he did something. Somehow, and I know, we both teach about, and I know, women did not get divorced at this rate. Divorce is crazy now. Divorces are down a little bit, but marriages are down too. Men are not getting married. And I'm sure we'll get into that as well. But go ahead, brother.
One thing that's interesting, Greek society is a little bit different from a lot of traditional societies our people come from in Africa and the Levant and in Mesopotamia and things of that nature. And I'm just talking about like where we come from as a people. And when you study cultures of antiquity, see, I'm the guy that when I look at the roof of a house, like when we buy houses, right? Like with my construction company I own, when we buy homes or when we're inspecting a home, we check the foundation and the roof. There is no roof without a foundation. And for those who are going to come into society and speak, we can't just, now, if there's no issue with the foundation, then it is what it is. Now that roof needs some bad repair. But a lot of times when you go in people's homes and they got cracks in their walls, the foundation of the home has moved a little bit because a house done sat in one place for 50 years, 60 years, 100 years. So the foundation needs to be resettled, and then you won't have that issue. And so there's something that's interesting here. And it's this. Women, there's almost once a certain law got passed, there was a floodgate that seemed to open.
Okay.
And now you got all of these women filing for divorce. And when you think of why, of course, some of it is going to be on males and some of it is going to be on females. But because of irreconcilable differences, there is no stat. Irreconcilable differences doesn't allow a stat. So what happens is people go and talk to couples, people who may have been in marriages and got divorced. And when they talk to males who got divorced under that category, and when they talk to females who get divorced under that category, they hear from them. And there's a commonality they find that gives them, like you said, you'll go research and it's the top 5 reasons, the top 10 reasons. And while some reasons are stated as fact because we know these things happen among people, half the reasons be like maybes, possiblies, meaning it's a possibility this can happen in a marriage, and that would be a reason for a divorce if you don't have it clearly stated in a what's the name? Nah, homie, ain't no not using historical events. Can we stick to now? Nah, not with me. Not with me. I'm telling you, no, I don't rock like that, homie, because I'm telling you, if we don't get to do that when we want. You don't get to point to violence in our community and then point to how children grew up. We don't care how they grew up. They out here wilding now, and it don't matter if they were neglected and raised correctly, if they're educated, if they were molested as kids. It don't matter if women are out here in current promiscuity because of molestation, or like Dr. Umar Johnson talk about a lot of black males who he has counseled have admitted of being molested as young men, and many of them, some of them become bisexuals or even full homosexuals when they get older because of something that happened to them when they were children. So there is no let's not stick to historical. Nah, not me. And I'm not speaking for Rob, but when my lip open, I'm gonna say what I got to say. So, hey Rob, check this out, bro.
Mm-hmm.
When you look at the lack of property rights and the lack of the right to vote,
Mm-hmm.
you have to, that's part of the foundation on things that historically, or let's say traditionally,
Mm-hmm.
have not, and we didn't do this, but I understand this to be fact. When you have a society where women were not the ones who could legally come to a court and file for a divorce. I'm talking about, it was not, women didn't have the legal right to come do it. Women did not have the legal right to own land. Women didn't have the legal right to vote. Only a free man, land-owning male, can vote. I don't think it's a surprise. And Black women follow a trend that started with their heavily outnumbered white counterparts. There are more white women in America than there are Black people here. All right. So once again, there's a lot of things that are societal. And within our community, no matter your ethnicity, once you become a very Americanized person, now you're going to see the end results of things that are a byproduct of something that was done. It's no coincidence that Black women and white poor women started to become much larger in their frames once in 1965, the Birth Control Act got passed. And now that women can, by federal law, go to their doctors and get birth control pills, all of a sudden people like, well, why are these girls getting so big and they maturing so much? Because of steroids. I'll never forget when my mama told me, I never knew. I was like, Mom, why are my sisters getting so big? You know what my mother told me? She said, baby, they've been on birth control since they was 14. I had no clue. My mom ain't come home and tell me that. So what I'm saying is that the now is a result of yesterday. Today is shorter than everything before it. That's all I got to say for now. Go ahead, good brother.
Okay.
Before you go, Robert, before you respond, because I want to make sure I'm understanding this just for me, because I told you I'm watching too.
Okay.
Are you saying that the conditions that have come from, I guess, over time, the birth control, being able to file for divorce, are you saying that this is why that's happening?
Wait, I'm sorry. What was the question? You were talking to me, right?
Yeah. Are you saying
because I
that?
went off mic. I kind of.
No, because I want to make sure I understand before I let
Mhm.
Robert answer. Are you saying that the right to be able to vote, and back then they couldn't own land, they couldn't do all these things, but now they can? And then also with the birth control, it wasn't so accessible back then, but now it is. Are you saying that this is why we're seeing the state of an increase of women filing for divorce, an increase of women getting, deleting their children, an increase of all these negative things in our Black community? Are you saying that that's just a result of them having access, or just them being able to do it?
Yeah.
So
Well,
they
and
had access.
the birth control pill thing was an example of how something that happened just within our lifetime or just right before we were born is a result of why you see something so open and just consistent today, like abortions. A lot of women, mothers putting their babies, they daughters on birth control because they don't want them to get pregnant. I was using that as an example for the gentleman who said, let's not, why use historical stuff and let's talk about now. And I just use something off topic to show you why, if you're going to talk about, let's just say this conversation was about abortion, sis. There is no way to have the abortion conversation without going back to when this thing even became allowable by federal statute. I use that as an example of history being important. But as far as the other three things you named, yes, when those things became accessible to women, I am not under any illusion that it's a coincidence that all of a sudden all of these women start filing for divorces as the industry open up and now women can start to earn more money, get more educated, and can actually not be a man can't refuse a woman to go on her own and have to prove over his word that whatever is wrong with the marriage, she don't want to be in it no more. You think that them things aren't responsible, or at least with those being allowable, they what's the right word? They expose something that probably would have been happening if them things had been allowed long ago.
See, so that's where I wanted to get to. So basically what it sounds like you're saying is that the way that women are now, it would have been the same thing back then. The only difference is they didn't have access, but because now we have access, now we're doing these things. So you don't think a mindset has changed in women? It's this mindset of, I don't need a man. I only want him if I want him. If he doesn't suit my needs, I'll get rid of him. You don't think a mindset has changed in women, and that's why we're doing this?
Well, no. Well, in some women, yes, but in some women, no, because they were born, and the mindset is the reality of what they grew up in. It's not a change in their mind. It's literally how they were raised.
And that's the problem.
Okay, so Reed, go ahead and jump in, Reed. Y'all can go. I just want to know for myself because
no, that's fine.
Go ahead,
and that's the problem right there. You know, that's the problem. It is how they're raised. This is why the problem is it keeps getting perpetuated. It keeps getting perpetuated and put forth. Now, I will agree with you that some of those things with, you know, can't vote or can't buy property and stuff like that, those are some factors. Okay, those are some factors, obviously. Okay, otherwise we're just ignoring it, right? But those are some factors. But I think some of the bigger issues, and I can go back to where you were back in the 65 and things like that. One of the things that was happening in the 60s, 70s and stuff is we get, the welfare benefits. Okay, welfare benefits. Okay, so where they can get, EBT, which it wasn't called back then, food stamps and stuff, but you're talking about EBT and TANF and Medicare, Medicaid, and WIC and all these other benefits, but they could not, and we're talking particularly the Black community, they could not have those benefits if the man was in the house. So in 65, and they asked, and don't get me wrong, I personally have a relationship, and know people who actually worked in the welfare office, in the welfare office, asking the questions, where is the baby daddy? Or are you married? You have a boyfriend? Does he stay there with you? What is his income? Asking these questions, So if they had a man in the house, they could not get those benefits. And so women, and our women in particular, chose those benefits first. Then you enter in feminism, you enter in womanism, the feminist movement, right? So you enter that in, and then the white American woman made her issue with her man the same issue for the Black woman and her man, which it couldn't have been the same because we were not in power. We were not in a position to, we could not oppress our women. We're in the same struggle together. But again, our women chose the benefits over the man. I was looking at a documentary, old footage. You may have seen it or whatever on YouTube. Old footage where this white guy, he was interviewing. It was probably about 8 Black women or whatever. All of them single baby mothers, all of them or whatever. And talking about having a man in the house and all that. And oh no, I don't know. We don't need a man. I mean, I grew up. I didn't have my father, so my children, they don't need a father and all that. It's just conditioned after condition after condition. It's generational, right? So they keep thinking that men are just leaving. No. Men are way more committed. That's why we see who is initiating divorce, and I know this is not a biblical debate, but the scripture says, the foolish woman in Proverbs, foolish woman tears down her house with her bare hands. The men are being ran out of the house. They're being ran completely out of the house. I can't say in your own circle, but we've all seen it. Everyone's watching. We've all seen where man and woman break up. They have children. Boom. 93% of the time, the woman gets custody of the child. And then what does the guy have to do? He has to fight to see his children. He's denied access. He has to fight to see his children, stuff like that. And then you have people backing it up saying, oh, well, if he loved his children, he'll fight for them. Don't ever give up on your children. First of all, they're missing the whole point. He shouldn't have to fight for them. They're his children. Okay, if I have visitation, okay, give me visitation. Why are my children being weaponized against me? So we're missing a whole point. But let me back up just a little bit. So we have the trading in benefits for husbands. Then we get euphemism jumping in there, and then you get in the 70s, you get Woodstock and free love, and so women are liberated. They don't have to have a standard. They don't have to have a standard in actually vetting a man, okay, vetting a man and saying, okay, is this guy worthy of my womb? Is this a guy I want to have children for? You don't have that. You don't have that anymore. So that was obliterated in the 70s, okay? And then you have the 80s, and you have the crack epidemic and all that, and you got a bunch of single women in our community, because we're talking about the issues. You got a bunch of single women. You got no leadership, no guidance, no structure, no protection, none of that. But then you got the government coming in and saying, hey, we'll be your husband, okay? I will give you this money in the form of benefits, the various benefits. I'll give you this money, but no man better not be in that house that I'm helping you pay for via Section 8. No man better not be in that house, or else I'll cut you off. You either want him or you want me, kind of thing, all right? And then what? And then this huge void is created, okay? This huge void of single parent homes, no man, no masculinity around. And what do we have? We have our shows, Good Times. One of the fathers people looked up to at the time, James Evans. In the 80s, one of the fathers people looked up to was Bill Cosby, in the Cosby. In the 90s, right? In the 90s, James one of the fathers people looked up to was Uncle Phil. Okay, yeah. Why? Because as boys, little boys, we're looking for masculinity. We're over-identifying with our mothers, because we're raised by our mothers, and we're looking for masculinity. What did they do? What did they do in the 70s? You had gangsters and stuff. You had gangs and stuff. In the 70s, 80s, you had pimps, gangsters and pimps. But what are the boys doing? They're looking for masculinity. A huge void of masculinity and leadership is gone, is exited out of the house. And we're definitely gonna get into some of those stats, right? So a huge void of masculinity is gone. So you have that. Okay, look at in the music and stuff. You have guys trying to have this pseudo form of manliness and stuff in the lyrics. Okay, it transitioned from so we're looking at pimps and gangsters and thugs and all this, and these are guys trying to be men and dying for respect. Okay, that kind of thing. They're dying for respect, stuff like that, trying to be men. So the problem is, when our women go unrestrained, can't shame them, can't correct them, can't shame them, can't nothing. You can do nothing as a man. All you can do is just agree. And what happens is so they're not held to any kind of accountability. Woman gets too big, you can't say she's too big, can't say lose weight, no body shaming. You can't do none of that. Nope. Forget that. Don't touch her weight, don't do none of that, right?
Better not.
You better not. And then if you're a single mother, you can, hey, what's wrong with that? Those are the strongest women you can get. What are you talking about? A single woman, they're the backbone of our community. You can't say nothing about that either. You can't do nothing. Body count. Can't talk about that. Can't talk about body count. Oh, no. What are you talking about? You must be insecure. You might be the one, even though that biologically you have a high body count. You can't even pair bond. You got all this. You have all this microchimerism. You have all this the DNA of another man and stuff like that, and you cannot even bond with this guy. You can't even properly love a man. Okay, so we have all these different problems that we can't even address it. We're talking about the issues, talking about they want to point it towards the men, but guess what, guys? Masculinity is under attack. As men, we have to wear the L for the past 60 years. We're deadbeats, not according to the stats. Okay. We're jailboards, not according to the stats. I mean, don't get me wrong, there are some deadbeat dads and there are some guys in jail. But for the most part, what I'm saying is that the mascot for the black man, okay, black men in particular, I'm really speaking for all men, at least in America, but black men in particular, the mascot is what? We've been what? Pookie, Ray, we've been jailbirds. You look at the news, we really don't look at news like that anymore. But back when we used to just watch television programming, the black man, he's in handcuffs. He's no good. He's a drug addict. Look at the movies. Look at the TV shows. He's a drug addict. You got drug addict. He's a gangster. He's a thug. He's this and that. Our image and our character have been assassinated since forever. And then our own women, who we came up in a struggle with, eventually turned her back on it. Now we have the mantra. Sister Christina was saying it. I don't want no man. I don't need no man. I can do it all by myself. Strong, independent. The black woman's the only one who runs around and says that. She's the poster child of that. She's the only one who says that. I'm strong, I'm independent, I don't need a man. Except when you want child support. Except when you want alimony. Except when you need all these doggone benefits. That's the problem. And then like you said, when they, soon as, see, in our last conversation, I was talking about hypergamy. Simply put, it's just dating up. That's all it is, dating up. So at every time they go up a little bit more, they get a little bit of an education. They get a bachelor's degree, their man need to have one or better. They get a master's degree, their man need to have that or better. They get a PhD, their man need to have that or better. They make $50,000, their man needs to make 30% more. They make $80,000, their man needs to make that or 30% more on average, 30% more. They're up. So a lot of reason, if you want to get into it, the reason why these divorces went through the roof is because they think they can do better. They think they're better than their man. In some cases, let me say this. In some cases, I won't say they're better than their man, but in some cases, yeah, there's some men who drop the ball. They don't, they might be lazy. They might be, they might be lazy. They might be abusive. They might be all these other little things. But I don't think that is I don't think that's the biggest one. I don't think that's the biggest one whatsoever. My thing is this. Today, and I'll land the plane. Today, we can't hold our women accountable. Half the time, they don't even think they belong to us. They are independent. In other cultures, in contrast, in other cultures, they can hold their women accountable. You can go to the Middle East and those men hold their women accountable. You can go to Africa and their men hold their women. Not us. We can't do that. We can't hold them accountable. So I ask you this. If, for example, you're married, a relationship or whatever, and you say to your woman, hey, don't go outside that late or don't go out wearing that or whatever. I'm here to protect you, guide you, stuff like that. Don't do that. She says, you can't, I'm a grown woman. You can't tell me what to do. Okay. You can be in a fight. And it's the same thing. I'm giving a couple examples, but the question is the same. You get in a really bad fight or whatever, right? Your woman puts, not your woman, I'm saying in general, your woman puts her hands on you. You can't put your hands on her. She emasculates you, attacks your manhood. You're this, you're that. You're poor, you're broke, you're bummy and all that. You can't, what can you do? So how can you lead a community? My question is this. How can you lead a community if you can't hold someone accountable? All they want today is we have responsibility and no authority. So how do you do that?
Okay. All right. Hey, that was a nice little that's a nice, you showed me all kind of colors right there, homie. I love it. Yeah. How long I got?
You got some time because I let them ride. So you got some time to ride.
To your question, bro, you won't be able to lead a community if that is happening. And whoever because I'm seeing the chat, I've been able to look at the chat while you was talking. Okay. Whoever Enigma Meek TV is, bro, you just gonna have to get this work, homie. Rob know who he talking to. Let me let y'all know something about me and brother Robert Reed. Robert Reed done hosted debates where I done whooped on somebody and Rob was the host. Me and Rob go back 2012, 2013. Me and Rob are overly familiar with one another, and he know I have good kung fu. And I've seen Rob in action. Rob has great kung fu. So understand, me and him not enemies. So we're going to stay on topic. But the topic is broad. Did y'all hear how Rob, he really kept it together with some facts and then even asked questions that sometimes it could be a general thing, but then sometimes even your own experience and exposure to understand. Because when you ask questions, the only way a man can answer is if he's open enough and quote unquote woke enough to understand the world and the society he's in. So Rob, the answer is you won't be able to lead a community if you can't hold the people accountable. Okay. That's just it. But there is something interesting here. And Rob, you are right. This ain't a biblical debate. That was a great scripture you quoted. Another one that's a good one is Malachi chapter 2. The Lord said, I have watched you, O men of Israel and Judah, and how you have dealt treacherously with the wife of your covenant. Okay. So it's equal opportunity, right? where you see women in society who do great wickedness, and then you have men in society who do great wickedness. Because, for instance, in my own situation, that thing you said about welfare, do you know, bro, I didn't even know what food stamps were until I was 14 years old.
No, I didn't know that.
No, I'm sorry. I'm embellishing. My family never had it. The reason I had it is because when my mom and dad got divorced, after my mom found out that my dad, and God rest his soul, beautiful man who I love to life, my mother found out when my sisters were 8 and 9 that my father had another son and daughter who were 5 and 3. And I'll never forget the night when I'm about 11 years old and I hear screaming, and I just wake up out my sleep and I come out and I'm looking and I'm like, yo, what's going on out here? And I see my mother. We live in an upstairs apartment at the time. And I see my mother standing in the doorway and she cussing at somebody in the hallway. And I'm like, Mom, what's going on? And she's like, boy, stay back there. But I hear some men voices that I did not recognize, Rob. So my mom is concentrating on whoever in the hallway, bro. I come to the door and I stand by my mom and I look down the stairs, and guess what I saw? I saw 2 white police officers with guns pointed up the stairs at my mama. My mama I didn't even notice because I've seen my mom back. My mom got a rifle pointed down the stairs. And guess who's standing next to the police? My dad. I found out, my mom had just found out that her husband went and carried on an affair so long that he got 2 children, one 5 years old and one 3. That ended the marriage in my home.
Okay.
And he took great care of us as far as providing. The house we were in, this was his home that he furnished. My mom, when she met him, she put college on the back burner to have his children and to support her husband as a Black woman. Unfortunately, they ended how they ended. But in my family, I saw the trauma, not only that I grew up with, but my 3 sisters grew up with, and how they developed a lack of trust for males because the superhero in their life was the first one to let them down. So my mom is a part of that stat that started to grow after the 70s because they got their divorce. Their divorce was final in 1992. She's a part of that stat. While I also know women who have left a man who could not take care of the family financially. Other than that, he was loyal, as far as I know, but she felt she had to move out and take the kids because her mantra was, I could do bad by myself. And I saw how that affected the family. So what I'm saying is, I don't have an issue with the things you're saying, but the things you're saying are only one side of the spectrum, right? Now, you brought up the situation with welfare. It's interesting how Ronald Reagan has even caused our community to look at the Black woman as the welfare queen. This was one of his campaign mantras to get reelected in the early 80s, and it was a damn lie. Today, right now, even to this day, 67% of welfare recipients in the United States are Caucasians. And you already, and since you brought that up, you already know about the mother pension, which was the beginning of the mother pension historically was the beginning of what we call welfare for single mothers. Black women didn't get that originally because Black women were in marriages for the most part. Back in them times, 87% of African Americans grew up in houses, not just with the dad in it with the mom, but the mother and father in a marriage covenant.
Yeah, 85% married. The Black community was 85% married.
So it wasn't just a man in a house. It was a husband in the house and a wife in the house, while 15% who may have had a man and a woman in the home may have just been a man. Do you understand the difference I'm making? It's a difference between a man in the house and a husband in the house. because that means that a man has actually dedicated himself to the female and the children that are his. And in some cases, Black men have historically taken care of children that weren't theirs. Black men have married women that actually already had a child when he met her. But Black women have too. There's many Black women who have fallen in love with a Black man and actually were mothers to his children before they even had children together.
But that doesn't carry the same weight.
No. It does carry the same weight. It does, because what it shows is the character of many Black women, not just one kind of Black woman, in my opinion. Remember, I'm giving my speech.
Okay.
So with the mother pension, that was heavily Caucasian centered. What I'm telling you is, when America catch a cold, the Black community get the flu. So something happened in the Black community that now something that wasn't a law passed for Black people specifically, a dynamic changed in society. And when that dynamic changes, now you find all of a sudden more Black single mothers than the time you just said out of your mouth, Rob, when 85% of Black households were married couples at a time. Mm-hmm. But this is the thing, that mother pension law, that welfare law, we had no problem when they was doing it with white women. See, you said no other women do this. No, that's not true. Originally, the law was for white women who took advantage of federal Section 8 housing law and got housing assistance if they were single. And this applied to many immigrant women in New York and Chicago and places like that who were growing up in urban centers, and they were producing children out of wedlock. If the system was going to take care of you after the Great Depression, this is what they put on single white women in order to get that. So that's the true history of the welfare law, as far as how they put what would you say? How they put stipulations on the single woman who the government is going to give you money for you and your children and housing and stuff. And they put prerequisites on a man being in the house or not. Now, poor married couples who hardly had nothing together and didn't have an income together, they still got welfare benefits. But you had to be a supreme kind of poor for a man and a woman in the house together, legally married, to be able to get this. Now, hey, Christina, I want to share something right quick. I want to share my screen.
And while you grabbing your screen, I'm just
before you share your screen, let Rod respond to that, because I heard him say that doesn't carry much weight.
Hold on, I wasn't finished. I listened to Rob for like 10 minutes.
Oh, okay, so you want to go? All right, no problem. Okay. All right,
Zadok, I'm not going to launch into anything. I was just going to say, when you said
go ahead, Rob.
No other woman. Well, no, when you said, and I'm only saying this while you getting your screen pulled up. When you said,
go ahead, brother.
No other woman does this or that or whatever. No, what I was saying specifically was that the mantra of I don't want no man, I don't need no man, I can do it all by myself, that kind of thing. No other women carry that mantra. Some women, some women are out there, oh, I'm independent, I don't need a man. But I'm saying the number one poster child for the strong, independent woman is the Black woman. That was my point for that. But go ahead.
Oh, okay. Yeah, and in some cases that is true. That's definitely true. Here we go. So I'm taking you guys to the childsupporthustle.com. And this is an article by a Black woman, Kenya Rahman. And here, if you could look at it, I don't know if you guys can see it. Here we go. Welfare entitlements have been part of American culture since the 1940s. So I didn't write this. These are facts. And just like in nearly every other component of institutionalized governmental America, the powers that be excluded Black America from receiving public benefits. Unfortunately, misinformation constantly circulates to Black families and the welfare system. One of the most common talking points that have resurfaced applies to Black fathers being forced from their homes and children by Black mothers in exchange for welfare benefits in the 1960s. While the man in house rule did exist, the talking point is not entirely accurate. Former President Franklin Roosevelt passed the Social Security Act in 1935. In addition to the Social Security program, the act included unemployment insurance, old age assistance, aid to dependent children, and grants to the states to provide various forms of medical care. Black Americans, affectionately back then referred to as Negroes, rarely received any government relief in the 1930s and several decades following the implementation. Although some have argued that excluding Blacks from receiving benefits is non-racially motivated, history and recorded behavior prove otherwise. So what I'm going to do right here, I'm going to take this article because I don't have time to read the entire article, but I want you to see where I pulled one of the informations from, and I got another source. So I'm going to stop sharing the screen, and I'm going to put the source in the chat in case any of the brothers and the sisters who are watching may want to check it out. So Christina, I'm putting it in the chat, and can you post it in the comment section, please?
Yep, I already got it. I'm doing it now.
The reason that I went there and read that is because of this point. Now, notice what I started out with. Rob was telling the truth, but it's part of the truth. It's not the full truth. And I'm not saying he's trying to hide anything. He's making a specific point, and I'm making the other point to balance out the full truth. Now, here we go. I'm telling you all that when you aren't married, one thing that is harming the Black community is the lack of our brothers and sisters desiring marriage. I literally got friends who are not interested in marriage. Brothers and sisters, I've been personally with my wife since 1997. Some of y'all watching are as old as my relationship with my wife is. All right? And with that fact, when I decided to get married at 24, and the team that I ran with, they was like, yo, man, that's what's up. And I remember how it made me feel when a couple of my friends felt I was making a mistake being so young. I remember my guy Molson told me straight up, he was like, bro, I respect that that's what you want to do as a man. He said, but bro, you ain't even 30. Why would you do that to yourself? And he followed it up with this. It's more women out here to explore. Are you sure that this one will be the one? He said, bro, I ain't trying to dish your choice, but you're 24. I would hate for you to look up at 27 and regret marrying her 3 years earlier. He told me that because he's my man and he cared. But this was the mind state of all of us. It was something that happened to me that even caused me to consider marriage, because before that, it wasn't even on my mind. So what I want to do is I want to wrap this bow like this. There are too many men who live in cities who aren't dead and are literally a 10 or 20 minute drive from their children who actually don't go see them. They don't go see them, and it's not because the mother is keeping him from his child. In some cases, that's true, but in many cases, it is not. You have men who are producing children, women who are producing children as teenagers. And I'm going to say this to any of y'all watching, and your mama is only 15 to 20 years older than you are right now. If you're a 40-year-old man watching this and your mama is 55 or 20, it's highly likely you were born in a situation where your mother and father did not commit themselves in a relationship. Now, for those of you who are only 15 to 20 years younger than your mama, and you grew up in a household with your mom and dad, praise God. But I'm telling you, on average, if you are younger, if you are 20 years to 15 years younger than your mama right now, and you was born in the 70s or the 80s or the 90s or the early 2000s, do you know what that's proof of? Many children in our community are being produced out of wedlock. And young men like Zadok, who got a 17-year-old girl pregnant when I was 19. And by the time that boy was 2, me and her weren't an item because I was not dedicated to her. I didn't expect her to get pregnant. She got pregnant. What I'm telling you is that it is not just data on paper. I am living data. And many of you are as well. So is Rob. Rob, y'all, don't get it twisted. Rob has a personal life experience that also informs how he thinks. It is not just Rob is a computer sitting back. Rob has a life. Rob see things wrong a certain way, and so Rob moves a certain way, and so does Zadok. So him and I are the reality of Black men in this community. Christina and other women are the reality of Black women in our community. So what I'm telling you all is that when you got 15, 16, 17, 18-year-old girls birthing children, and by the time some of them are in their mid-20s, they might have a couple children, and if they not in a relationship with the fathers, then guess what's being raised? A generation of children who do not have, male or female. Girls aren't growing up with a lack of daddies and boys not. And male does not equal leader. Male is a sex gender. Leadership is a quality. And Zadok is telling you from personal knowledge as well as stats, all men are not able to lead women. We want women, but many brothers do not know how to be loyal to a woman, and many brothers do not know how to take care of a woman. So if women have problems, which are true, Zadok is telling you that behind a lot of foul females are a lot of foul males.
Okay,
Can I jump in now?
yeah, I want you to get in there. I'm gonna let you quickly respond because we're at the hour mark. So we're gonna go on to the next part of the conversation, but I am gonna give you time to respond. So go ahead, Robert.
Okay, because that was a lot. That was a lot. So let me go ahead and respond to that. Now, and I have to go back a little bit because of we both kind of go a little bit. Going back to the relationship and the mothers. I understand you were using anecdotal experience, and I understand that. But I'm gonna tighten it in and just talk about it, relationships and stuff like that. We got to understand that we have condition in America. We're in a Roman Catholic type of society or whatever. And many of our women are conditioned to believe that, oh, this man cheat, this man that. If all men cheat, there must be somewhere in the nature of man. But anyway, we're going to go ahead and say, first of all, I'm not going to say that men can't commit, because you got 80% of the time the woman's the one is ending the relationship. So I can't say a man is committed. Men do commit. That's what it is. It's just right now they're checking out of this whole thing because being married in America is a bad deal. Period. Okay, you are at risk. Okay, if you're a man in America getting married, it's a bad deal. System is set up against you. But we're going to get into that. The difference is with women, they see what we're trying to do is we're trying to make everything even Steven. And that's the problem. We blur the line, we make everything even Steven, and nothing ever gets solved. There's no even Steven. Okay, I got 4 minutes. Okay. So there's no even Steven. The problem is this. Women show their loyalty show their love in a relationship primarily through loyalty, right? Loyalty, submission, and support, nurturing, things like that. That's how they show their loyalty. That's how they show that they love someone. They're loyal, submit, supportive, stuff like that, right? Men don't show their loyalty the same way. We don't show it like that. We show our loyalty, okay? We show our love. I keep using loyalty. We show our love, okay, to a woman through commitment, through protection, through provision. That's how we show that, hey, I love you. If we're thinking I love this woman, we're commit to her, we're going to provide for her, and we're going to protect her. That's how we show it, okay? Women, they're going to be loyal to you, okay? Not men. Men, you already know, men are built different. We compartmentalize. Now, again, before anyone thinks that I'm saying that it's okay to just go sleep with all these different women, no, I'm not. Being of the Hebrew community and whatever, some are okay with polygyny, some are not. But it's the same thing Kevin Samuel was talking about with high value men being able to exercise their options, right? In the Hebrew community, your options is polygyny. But we already know, like Isaac, you can be with one woman and you can be loyal to one woman. That's it. But I'm not going to sit here and just let that pass customs that, oh, men can't be loyal. Of course, men can be loyal. Men can be committed. It's just that the men, we already know we're sexually driven. Okay, so the price of entry of gaining access to sex with a woman has went way down since the 70s, since Woodstock, since free love, since feminism and stuff like that. So guys are doing a bare minimum to get in there. Also, again, I'll bring out the stats. I don't want to make it seem like that is all men or it's broad based, which is why I like to use objective stats. For example, Men, you said men are running around creating all these babies. Majority of black men in America don't have any babies and are not married. 51 to 52%. Okay, blackdemographics.com. Don't have any. 30% are married with children. They're married. So we're talking anywhere from 80 to 84% of black men in America either married with children, that's 30%, and as much as 52% is that are don't have, they're not married and don't have children. In fact, men 18 to 30 are either virgins or haven't had sex in the past year. So we're talking about the 16%, 16 to 18% of men, particularly black men, of men that are making 80% of the babies. So I'm not going to be lumped into that category like that. So we can't be lumped into that category. Like all men can't be lumped into that category. That's why men are checking out. That's why you have this red pill, new information. Why? The reason why this stunned people so much is because of the narrative. The narrative is we're deadbeats. We don't do anything. We got 15 baby mamas and all this other stuff. No. That's 16% who we have been we affectionately call, Pookie, Ray Ray, Day Day, Man. Those are the ones who are doing all that, not us. Those are the ones who are making all these babies and being irresponsible and stuff like that. Period. Also, the scriptures, 29. Okay, and the scripture said that a wicked woman is laid up as a portion to a wicked man. I don't think that I'm wicked. Okay, so I don't need a wicked woman in there. So you have that. Okay, and then as far as the marriage, my last point to land the plane, the lack of desiring marriage. Okay, women are simply coping. I think they do want to be married. They want commitment. They want someone to take care of them. They want someone to protect them. They want someone to provide for them. And men are just realizing that marriage in America here is a terrible, terrible deal. It's a raw deal.
All right. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go to our next portion. So the second part of the show, we are going to talk about solutions. But before we talk about solutions, we're going to spend 20 minutes. Zadok and Robert Reed, you guys are going to ask each other direct questions about what you're opposing, about what the person is saying. So this is not the agreeable section. This is the disagreeable section. So if anything you've heard this brother say on previous conversations, or even in this conversation where you want to ask him a direct question, then I will give the brothers a few minutes to answer. If you hear a bell while you're speaking, that means you got 60 seconds to wrap it up. Okay. But I'm going to try to be as comfortable with this as possible so you guys can get out what you want to say. And we'll let Zadok go first.
Okay. Hey, Rob, that stat that you gave out about 30% of brothers, of black men being married. Are those men that have children? Black brothers with children who are married?
They may have children, yes. In the marriage, yes.
Okay. Now, do you have a stat that tells us out of those 30%, whatever that number represents, really? Because that sounds like a few million homies, right?
Mm-hmm.
How many of them brothers actually have children with other women before their marriage?
I don't know that number.
Okay, that's fair. Now, the reason that I ask is because I'm married.
Okay.
But I have a son from a former relationship before I met my wife. And I got about 11 homies who are and my stats matter because no matter what stats you read, they're not dealing with the entire population pool of our people.
So
there is no stat I've ever found that deals with the entire population pool of our people, right?
Okay, I just have one question for clarity. I know you're asking me a question, but I have this is.
Hold on, you guys. Hold on. We got to control this. Remember, he asks a question, you answer the question. Zadok. I'm saying, but he's about that. So he's ready because I don't know if you're done with your point yet, Zadok. And then you're gonna be ready to ask a question.
No. Well, okay.
Because he's about to ask you something, but before he asks you something, I want to make sure you got your point out, your question out. Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
So Rob, you know what we'll do, sis, so that you can understand that. Okay, Zadok is finished. Hey, Rob, it'll be good for us to kind of be like clubhouses, I guess, where hey, okay, bro, I'm ending my point or my answer. I asked you a question and you answered. I might say, okay, I got a follow-up point that I want to make to what you said to my question, and then okay, I'm done. That way it's clear to you, Christina, that I'm finished.
And the audience too. I want to make sure everybody's
And the
getting
audience too.
everything
Is
because I don't
that
want to
cool,
miss
Rob?
nothing.
Just for her sake.
Okay.
All right.
Go ahead.
Okay. So in finishing, making a point, that's fair that you said I don't know. What I'm saying is that's why stats are only a glimpse into, hey, we see this 30% of Black men in the marriage. Praise God. But now there's a minutia needed that is important, because those married men might have children who grow up in homes separate from the house that they live in as a married man. Like myself and like many young brothers and sisters who I know, but there is no true data to give that to you. So what I'm saying is, while you don't have that answer, and neither do I, Rob, I know that what I see with my eye is not just a small, minute thing, but if 30% of our kind are married men like myself and yourself, Rob, because you said earlier you're married too, right, Rob?
Correct.
Then I'm someone who is married, and ever since my child was 4, not that I haven't been in his life, Rob, but he has simply lived in another home besides the one that I got married, that my marriage covenant is in. He visited that, he stayed in that. So that's a reality, I'm going to say, for probably some decent percentage of our brothers who are married, and that's a good thing, and got dedicated Black women, or hopefully Black women, a lot of them. But there are some of those, it would be interesting if they had that data, because that is a reality that I've seen over the last 40 years, just from my limited exposure, with my eyeballs. But I'm done, Rob. It's on you, bro.
Okay, well, let me address one thing that you said. When you said, hey, I have a child from a previous relationship, a previous situation, then one, I'm not to assume that you're not taking care of that child. So it's still not a negative. Yeah, that's not a negative. It's not a negative stat. Also, with what you were saying, it doesn't change the stat, because what you said, if I say 51% don't have children and are not married, what you just said doesn't change that 51%. If I say 30% are married, okay, and then you ask, hey, well, does that include that they have children? I'm like, yeah, they're in a family, they could have children. It doesn't change the fact that right now you're married. Doesn't change it. So it doesn't hurt the 51%, it doesn't hurt the 30%, right? So only the 16% are the ones out there, making a majority of the children. So you can fall in the 16% if you want. That's fine, because you're, one man and you have children from different women. That's fine. But it doesn't skew the number whatsoever. It doesn't change it at all. You're either married and you have children, or you're not, or you're either part of the 30%, you're part of the 16%, or you're part of the 51%, or you're part of the one where, like it says, it says 30% of men between 18 and 30 are virgins or haven't had sex in a year. Okay, you're in there. It's one of those things. So it doesn't really change anything. But let me ask you this. Let me ask you something, because we're supposed to ask each other some questions. Okay, so let me ask you this. Because before it was kind of a hypothetical, but now, a rhetorical question, but now it's a real question. What is the benefit of a man today in this country of America? What is the benefit of him getting married in light of all these stats? And if you want to throw the stats out, I'm not going to. Just look at the court system. Look at that, meaning your wife can end it, no fault divorce. She can end it at any time she wants to. And I'm not talking about your wife specifically. I don't know her. But she can end, a man's wife can end the marriage anytime she wants to, for any reason she wants to. Happens every single day. She can take, depending on your state, she can get alimony. No problem. She's probably going to win. She can get custody of your children. 93% of the time, they get custody of the children. She can get child support. Okay? So you tell me, I'm on the red pill side. So I'm like, right. And I'll tell you my position. My position is there's no advantage. You're talking about two married guys. There's no advantage for a man to be married in America. So that's my position. But I'm asking you, what is the advantage? Why? From a blue pill perspective, why should a man get married today in America?
Well, a salute to my tens of millions of homies in America who are married and are getting married. Praise God. I just got an RSVP to a baby shower next month for a sister of mine. She's 29 now. and her new husband is 26. But when I started to disciple her, she was about 22 years old, and they're both African American. He was a virgin. She was not. She was in 2 relationships in her life. And within their first year of marriage, they actually got married back in May of 2022. She's about, God willing, they're about to have a healthy baby. So this is a Black couple. So what was the advantage of him sitting under us and asking, and him desiring, as a 24-year-old Black male from California who relocated to upstate New York to get married? And then also for this sister who wanted a husband. She wants to be a man's wife, and she literally sat hoping and waiting to get a husband. Well, I can tell you what we told them, because why should I use myself? Because I already know the advantages of it. The advantages of it is for the children that you produce to actually grow up and actually live in a home where young women not by wish, but by literal example, know what it looks like for a man to love a woman. That's really one of the main advantages, that when you produce children, the young men are taught by the standard how to deal with their women if they grow up and they become upstanding men. Because this is the thing. Remember, your children aren't guaranteed to follow in your footsteps, but they would be without excuse to say, I've never seen what it was for a man to be loyal to a woman. I never seen what it was for a man to work hard. And for young women, if they grew up and took another route, it would be difficult for them to say they didn't have in the home the example of a dedicated woman, a woman who loved a man, a woman who respected a man, but a woman who was also respected. I'll tell you something that never would happen and was a rule in my house, bro, that my wife and I actually have had a few very, heated arguments. And, you're a husband. I'm pretty sure you and wifey didn't have some disagreements. My wife will never be dealt with a certain way in front of my sons. You know why? Because when I'm not around and these guys get physically bigger than their mama, they never had an example of a woman being smacked around. They never heard their mama called out of her name in all of their life. I call my son down here right now. He's 29 years old. He'll tell you he never heard his mama cuss that. She ain't never been a B word. She ain't never been a slut. She ain't never been none of those when I've gotten angry. They've known we've been angry, but it's about the example. Also, the financial benefit for a man to not live his life by himself. Actually, bro, do we need to bring out the marriage stats that actually talk about married men live so much longer than men outside of marriages? And it's not an ethnic group thing. It's literally stats that point that out. Right, Rob?
Yeah,
Rob?
there is. Yeah. Can you hear
Okay,
me?
so if we just want it to be without any getting into the minutia, but we just want to use a stat, medical science says that males, especially Black males, who are in loving marriages, live so many times, have a longer life expectancy than their counterparts from their community who don't. You want to say something, Rob?
Yeah, I did. Couple things. One, I agree with you. Married men live longer, but the question is, what is the advantage for a man to get a single man, not a person who's having children out of wedlock? I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about
but that's what I'm answering.
No.
The single man is going to get married, so I'm telling you the benefits of him getting married.
Okay, no.
Hold on, Zadok. Let him re-ask the question.
Yeah, I'm just going to re-ask the question.
Yeah, re-ask the question, and then Zadok, you answer.
Yeah. Let me just re-ask the question.
I simply just asked Rob. I said,
what I'm saying
you're asking me the question?
He's going to re-ask it. He's going to re-ask it again.
Go ahead.
Yeah. So what I'm saying is, I'm talking about a single man, a single woman, no children on either side, okay? And he is getting married in America, okay? In America, American state marriage license and all that, right? I'm not saying why should a man get married, period. Because, yeah, I do believe men should get married and start families and stuff. I'm not talking about period. I'm talking about in America with the American marriage contract, okay? Why should he take that risk is what I'm saying. With the family court system and everything stacked against him, and the divorce statistics, the marriage and divorce statistics, and child support and alimony and all that gleaming, learning that. In other words, I'll make it shorter like this. In other words, if there is an 80%, because women 80% of the time, they're the one who, who initiate it. If there's an 80% chance of the woman that he marries will be the one who initiates a divorce, why should a man in America get married with a state marriage license? I'm not talking about out of wedlock children or nothing like that.
Well, I just gave you the example that we just presided over the marriage of a black male who married a black woman. I started out with that, I thought. So just for the audience again, I literally, God willing, I'm going to the baby shower in about 3 weeks of a couple who just got married. And I am speaking from the position of being a leader. I actually help men accomplish what they want to accomplish. They come to me. And the brothers that I'm with, this is what we do. So Rob, all I can tell you is what I do, because I literally preside over marriage ceremonies. God willing, as a matter of fact, I'm slated to preside over a marriage ceremony this June. So I'm just giving you examples of, if you're going to ask someone who literally sit and counsel people who come to me and say, hey, bro, would you preside over my marriage? I'll also tell you this. My she just turned this year, 27-year-old niece who got married 5 years ago when she was 22 to her 21-year-old husband. When they came to me, Rob, what did I tell them? What's the advantage of him under everything you said? Because they're not getting married nowhere else. They got married in the state of New York too. As they have decided for themselves that this is what they want. Then the advantages is, if this man is a man of loyalty and this woman is a woman of loyalty, then there are benefits to the marriage for this man. He is actually going to have a partner in life who loves him, someone who will even speak to him for his own benefit when he don't want to hear it. Because if any man has a wife that's worth her medal, it's so women aren't just submissive, and this women got your best interest at heart if you got a real one. So Zadok, who got married in America, I'm telling you basically that those who I have counseled, brother, it is an advantage for this man, one, to have a partner who actually will help him raise his children that they birth together. My niece, praise God, she literally has all 3 of her children are by her husband, all 3 of them. And they're raising this family together, brother, and they're not even 30 years old. See, this is the thing. With any stat, it only comes into play when you enact something that destroys what you have. So you have to assume, hey, brother, don't get married because it's a strong possibility this woman gonna leave you. Then, damn it, if that's the case, then hey, sister, don't get married because it's a possibility that this man could actually go out here and have a child outside of wedlock. So you understand that the advantages are really based in the commitment between the young man who wants to get married in America and the woman he's going to marry. I mean,
okay, let me jump. Can I jump in now?
You can respond, but Zadok, remember, this is the question and answer. So he answers your question. I'll let you respond to his answer for like a minute, but then Zadok, I need you to ask Reed a question.
Yeah,
but,
no problem.
I'll give you 60 seconds to respond to what he said.
Yeah.
What, for me to respond?
Okay, yeah, you can respond, and then he's going to ask you a question.
Okay, got it. Okay, my response to that is some of his examples. We're talking about the issues in the Black community. Everything that he said is one. It didn't really answer the question, because we're talking about what's going on in the Black community right now. Is what I'm saying. What I'm saying is he's going to anecdotal evidence, right? So he's talking about those who have faith. You're talking about here's the thing. You're talking about a righteous good dude and a righteous good woman, correct? That's what you're talking about. Okay. So you're talking about 2 good people, but that's not what's going on in the community. This is where our disagreement is. We're not talking about a righteous dude and a righteous woman or whatever. We're talking about a traditional man, and we're talking about a woman who may be modern. Otherwise, you and I have no discussion. If we're talking about if you're not talking about 2 traditional people, we have no discussion. 2 traditional people, it can work. Okay. So what I'm saying is that if he gets yoked up with the average woman, okay, and get married and stuff like that, I mean, what's going to happen to them? Now, I don't want you, it's rhetorical. I don't want you to answer it because I want you to be able to ask me a question and we can move on. But that's what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about two good people getting together and the benefits of two great, good people getting together and stuff like that, because what's happening is the divorce rate is bad in the faith community. It's the same in the secular community. You asked me a question. Go ahead.
Well, hey, I'm going to ask the question, but you didn't put all of that on the table. You didn't say good people versus bad people, whatever your opinion is. And you assumed that everyone I was talking about were people of faith. The couple who having the baby shower, yes. But my niece, no, they're not church folk. They're not none of that. They just came to me because I'm married and I'm her uncle. And she said, Unc, I want to get married and I respect marriage. I always wanted to see, because she didn't grow up in one. So it don't mean, so what makes somebody good or bad? She's modern. She go out to nightclubs. She works. She earn more money than her husband.
Then he's at risk.
They're married. They're married.
He's at risk. He's at risk.
So is she, bro. So is she.
Oh, that's what I'm saying. But the question was, why should a man? The question was, why should a man? And I told you why.
That's for any man. It depends on who the man is. You think just because a man don't go to church, he can't love a woman, right? That's not the conversation.
I didn't say that. I don't say that.
Bro. So, okay, so whatever you're calling good people, I'm just talking about people. I'm telling any man, I don't care where he from. I don't got to know your life story. If you telling me you about to get married or you thinking about it as a man in America, my message is the same. That's it.
Okay.
So now I have a question for you. So now I have a question.
Okay.
So, hey, Rob, what's interesting is you gave that stat about 51% of young men, black men, who they aren't married and don't have children, right?
Correct.
Was that it? They don't have children and they aren't married.
Correct.
Is there a stat that tells you why they don't have children and aren't married?
No, there's a lot of reasons. There's a lot of reasons. Okay. If you just ask, okay, if I ask the question, if I say, hey, are you married? And someone says, no. Do you have any children? No. That's the end of the information. Everything else is just speculation and conjecture as to why. But we do know.
So that's not a negative. That's not a negative because they're not married and don't have children. So it's misleading to use that number as
no.
Hold on, both of you guys. I'm gonna let you re-ask the question again, Zadok, and then Rob, I want you to answer.
I need to answer. Sis, he answered.
No, I know, but he wasn't finished. He wasn't finished talking. So I'm assuming that's why you had to interject because he's not understanding your question.
I thought he was done. So I don't need to
No, he's not done. No. Nah, he wasn't done. He wasn't done. All right, so go ahead, Reed.
Okay, can you hear? Okay. No, I'm not done. First of all, that 51%, I'm not saying it's negative whatsoever. Okay, I'm not saying it's negative, but there's a lot of reasons why men are not married and don't have any children and stuff like that. And it's not all negative. Some of it they just choose not to be. They're just not ready. They're choosing not to be. Some of them they see the stats that we're talking about. They see that, hey man, is it worth it? Is it worth it for me to get married in this country? Not get married, okay? Not just get married. Getting married is fine. I'm married. Being married is fine. It depends on who you're married to. The problem and the issues, because I want to stay on topic, the issues is in this country, there's far too many modern women, way too many. They don't have traditional values. So every man is at risk. Okay. So just so I can, answer the question, they're at risk. That's just that's all I'm saying. Okay. So you had asked about the 51%. Was that the extent of the question? Like, is that like why the 51% are not married and no children? Was that the extent of your question?
Yeah. It sounds like you understood the question and you don't have the answers. You don't know why. So I'm finishing. I mean, wait, hold on. I just want to make sure you finish because I don't think you have the answers. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. Well, my response is this. We both know that there's a multitude of reasons as to why that 51%. That doesn't mean that stat is negative. It's just that there's a reason behind it. Here's the other thing. I want everyone to notice that what you are attempting to do, it is not working, but you're attempting to poke holes in every single stat that's out there. Okay. you're not going to be able to do that, because you want to say, well, let me go ahead and get into the nuance of each stat or whatever, because you know what the stats are saying. You know how the stats are perceived. You know that it's more of a risk for a man. Well, you know what? I won't assume what you know. You know what? I'll stop. I won't assume what you know. I will say this. By and large, in the red pill community, okay, and the average guy who hadn't even been red pill, but he's just getting the information, by and large, they know when they look at these stats, they know, because the man is the one making the commitment. He's the one who's the provider. He's the one who's he's not getting on a woman's program. A woman is getting on his program, right? A man don't rely on a woman for his retirement, but the other way around is true, right? So if he looks at, okay, hey, you know what? 51% of these 51% of these marriages are getting divorced. You know what? I don't even have to do anything wrong. 80% of the time, she's probably going to be the one who initiates it. Stuff like that. This is what he's thinking. This is not a bad guy. This is a guy who's contemplating marriage. That's it. Hadn't hurt anybody. Just contemplate marriage, right? And he's looking at it. He's like, man, I can lose my children. I can use half my assets. I don't know. And it's a woman who's modern, who just decide one day that he's not living up to her expectations, and whatever it is that she gonna make her happy, because she was.
Hold on, Reed. I don't mean to cut you off, Reed. I don't mean to cut you off, but I gotta let Zadok respond to you, the question that you answered, and then I want you to ask him a question, because I don't want him to miss the point. I want him to get in here. Yeah,
so you tried to protect your young stat game, and I think you're showing how weak it is, because I am poking holes, not in the stat itself, but that the stat is not an indicator of truth. As far as the full, no, brother, it's not. Go ahead and mute your mic, bro. Let you know what I'm saying. Go ahead and mute your mic.
Let him respond, and then you can ask him his question.
So what I'm saying is, you know that what I'm saying is utterly effective. Why? Because when I ask you, hey, it's the 51% of, let's say, I think you said the age was like 18 to 30. They aren't married and don't have children. I asked you, is there a stat to tell you why they're not married and don't have children? You said that stat doesn't exist, and to try to say why would be pure conjecture, and I agree. So what I'm saying is, the stat is not indicative of these boys can't find women that they like and that they digging, or who they might even love. Is it an indicator of them not having love, or is it even an indicator of them not having relationships or not desiring marriage? That stat, according to you, no, Zadok, I can't say that doesn't exist. Just like Zadok can't say, well, you know what that 51% means? It means those men can't find no women. Those guys are alone. They're not in relationships or anything like that. That's the fault in the stat. It don't mean that the stat itself isn't true, but the stat is not an indicator of the why. It's just a number. And then this is what you did. And I knew you were going to do it, because I think the red pill community in this regard, these pills might be mollies. These might be red mollies. Let me tell you why. Because of this point right here, brother, and I'll end here. You said these guys can look at these stats and say, well, why should I get married? 80%, it's an 80% chance that my marriage will end. I'll dedicate myself to this woman, and this woman will leave me. But earlier, when I asked you about the 80%, just like I asked about the 51%, I said, is there a stat on the 80% of women, the 80% of marriages? So that means out of the 100% of divorces, 80% of the filing for divorce is a female initiated one, which leaves 20% for a male. I asked you earlier, are there stats that give you the reason why the women file? You said no. Of course there are reasons, but the reasons themselves don't have stats to them. So that means it is false to say that the marriages that the women file, that there's a number to say how many are justifiable in a woman saying, hey, I'm out this marriage, and how many of those marriages are a woman who's just abandoning a man she don't want to be with no more, and he was loyal and ain't did nothing foul to her. you know that stat doesn't exist. And so the 80 number is used to make it seem like all the women who file for divorce are some modern woman who ain't got no values and they just don't need a man in their life. And that is false.
All right. So I know you want to respond to that, Reed, but we're going to have to get to the next question because we don't have a lot of time. So, Reed, you asked Zadok a question.
Okay. All right. Okay, that got convoluted, but okay, let's go to the next question. So, since we brought up and talking about modern woman and stuff like that, what do you think is the problem or the issue right now? Because we're not talking about women cannot vote or own property, or we're not talking about that, because that's not the case right now. There's really no right that a woman doesn't have in America right now. Okay, there's nothing she can't do that a man can do as far as rights and stuff like that. So she's good to go. So what exactly, you know what? I'm gonna switch my question. I'll go back to this one. We're talking about all the risk factors for a man in a marriage. So you have paternity fraud. You have a lot of paternity fraud, up to 30%. You got paternity fraud where men are 30%. They're paying child support for a child that's not theirs. It's not even theirs. And then they can prove it's not theirs through DNA, but they still got to pay. So where does the accountability lie when you're saying, when we're saying, okay, so sure, men should take care of their children, but what about men who are taking care of children that are not theirs?
Well, as far as a man who's taking care of a child that's not his, and then you say he still have to pay the child support, that's just totally damn unfair. That's foul as heck. Damn. Wait, bro, a man got to pay child support once it's proven by DNA. Oh, man. That kid ain't even his at all, but the system would still make him pay for the child. Yo, that's just utterly foul. That's what
but they only do that if you're married. So for like example, let's say you're legally married, right? But you separated, or your wife cheated on you.
I didn't know that caveat.
Yeah, if she could cheat on you, or you could be separated. If you're legally married, yes, she can actually put him on child support just because they're married. And he would have to pay it.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I guess because the child belongs to her, but she's his wife, he's still legally responsible for the child. Okay. In marriage, okay, cool. I mean, if it turned out, then the woman just did something foul. But I wonder what that would look like reverse. I don't know if that kind of stat exists, because I never had heard of that, but you kind of added a caveat that Rob didn't put on it. That's fine. But let me say this, for the men who aren't in marriages, and that thing pop up, for the Maury Povich, the Steve Wilkos show folk, I'm going to tell you this. This ain't a Bible debate. But the Lord said that the powers that be are ordained of God, and they don't bear the right to execute law in vain. They'll hurt you for your evil, and that they'll big up you for your good. I'm going to tell you this. For every guy who has possibly gotten a woman pregnant, and that child, and I'm sorry, he's been sexually active with a woman that he's not married to. See, people, I think, like I seen one of the brothers said in the comment section that society is broken. I'm telling you that they don't have a stat for this, but my worldview, which is informed by the word of God, tells me that fornication is the only sin males and females sin against themselves and put themselves in danger. That's literally what the text says, and Rob knows that. So my worldview isn't purely a secular one. Everything I am is represented by the word of God. So I'm not trying to be overly dogmatic, but Rob know that him and I know that that's there, that fornication is the only sin that a person commits against their own selves. So unfortunately, brothers, just like the lookouts at a drug deal, and just like the guy who think because he's not moving keys or he's selling his nicks and dimes on the street, if you get caught up and get an unfair sentence, hey, I think that prison sentence was unfair, unless they planted drugs on you. If you got caught with drugs, you opened yourself up for, even when they're unjust, to possibly have an effect on you. Y'all know why I ain't in prison right now? Because they can't put me in it unless they set me up. So what I'm telling you is, for the brother who would sleep with a woman, and because this girl promiscuous and may have lied to this guy, and she done slept with 2 or 3 other dudes within the same time frame, and now she just telling him I'm pregnant, and he like, okay, well, yo, I'll be a dad, and it wind up turning out that that kid ain't his. That's so unfortunate that to hear that that happened to that brother, but he shouldn't have been fornicating. That's my answer.
All right, Reed. So I'm gonna let you respond to what he said, and then you're gonna ask a question to Reed. Okay, Zadok. So go ahead,
Yes,
Robert.
no problem.
Okay. All right. Let me go ahead and just respond to that. First and foremost, it seems as though you're always putting the accountability back, to the man and not holding the woman accountable. And society is doing the same thing, since we're talking about the issues in the community. The issues, and you use the Maury Povich and things like that as an example. Let me go ahead and let me use that also as an example. Has anyone noticed, people listening, okay, put it down in the chat, stuff like that. Anyone notice when someone goes on the Maury Povich show or whatever, and we hear his famous line, you are not the, you either are the father or you're not the father. And he says, okay, you are not the father. Notice this. This woman brings a guy up there. This is guy number 3, guy number 4, guy number 5, whatever. You are not the father. She all of a sudden becomes a victim, okay? Now, she slept with multiple dudes because the guy she has up there, he's not the father. Then they boo that man. They boo him, okay? He's not the father, okay? He's like, hey, I'm not responsible for this child. It's not my child. And they applaud, and they give her sympathy. It's like, oh, no, it's okay. It's going to be all right. Even Maury pets her up and everything. So all we're doing is enabling all this accountability, enabling this inaccountability. The woman's not held accountable. Like, now you just held the man accountable. You're like, hey, no fornication. And obviously we both teach the Bible, so we can both make it a whole the Bible debate and all this other stuff. We can do that. Now, again, let me say for the record, I don't support fornication. Okay. I don't support that. Okay. So I don't want us to harp on that. I don't support fornication. All right. So now we can keep moving forward. But what I'm saying is that in this society, since we're talking about secular type stuff, in this society, women are not held accountable. And that is the problem. We're not even allowed to hold a woman accountable. We're not even allowed to do it. And you agreed in your own words. You're like, well, yeah, you're right. There's nothing you can do in that particular situation. Basically, we are paper tigers. We have no teeth. We have no claws. So how can we fix a community? How can we fix a community if we have no authority to do so? But you can ask your next question. Go ahead.
Well, I don't want that to stay high. I don't want that to be rhetorical. I'll respond to that like this and ask my question.
But try to keep it short though, Zadok. So you go to the next question, please.
I will. No, I will, but it's important. Because at the end of the day, I know Rob isn't a supporter of fornication. So then, since we're not supporters of fornication, let's tell the damn truth about it. The men and the women who do that, that woman, now if that woman met Zadok and she want to get her life right, then maybe she would humble herself to my advice or a Rob's advice, because she's looking for accountability. But what I'm telling you is that if that woman in that Maury Povich situation that I brought up first, and you did, that was a nice little rebuttal right there. That was a good one. That woman on stage with 4 men, I feel bad for the brother who thought it was his baby. I said that. I didn't leave her unaccountable. I'm telling you, I feel bad for him. But for those who will fornicate, you're getting what it earns. Because like you said, bro, us having a certain worldview, you know what the apostle said, if a man suffered for his sin and he take it, there is no glory in it. It's unfortunate, but there's no glory. So that woman, who's going to hold her accountable, and who's going to hold the other 3 dudes who apparently were as much to blame as being a possible daddy, because they all sexed her. What I'm saying is, the one girl, if she's to be held accountable in that example, there are 4 men who have to be held accountable too. And I'm saying men are not being held to account as much as women aren't, in my experience, and understanding. So I got a question for you, Rob.
Okay.
Hey, Rob.
Yeah.
What is your definition? Because I keep hearing this. What is your definition of traditional woman versus modern woman?
Okay, now let me ask you this just to be clear. You want my definition, or do you want a textbook?
Because you the one used the term tonight, and you did use it last week. So now I'm asking you, bro. Yes.
Okay, but do you want a textbook definition or just my thoughts on it?
Well, I mean, yeah, whatever you mean by it when you say it, Rob. Because I heard you said it probably twice tonight.
Okay. All right. Here's what I mean. Here's what I mean by it. I'm sorry. My phone's acting up a little bit. Okay. Here's what I mean by it. Let me get this straightened up here. Okay. Here's what I mean by it. As you know what, the conversation that I had last week, okay, with Reese, I gave her I gave her examples. I put it like that. I said a traditional woman wants marriage. A modern woman, okay, does not want marriage, or she wants a wedding. That's it. A traditional woman wants a husband. A modern woman wants a partner and a benefactor, meaning if things don't work out, hey, she can get alimony, she can get child support, stuff like that. A traditional woman wants a family. A modern woman wants children and child support. I did that so that there's clarity that a person, they'll hear what I'm saying. Whether they agree or not, they'll at least understand what I'm saying. That's the difference. A traditional woman are okay with normal and traditional gender roles. A man being a provider, protector, leader. A woman being a support, caring, nurturing, things like that. That's how I'm differentiating traditional woman from a modern woman. Now, modern women today, they don't want to do that. They don't want to cook, clean, or their femininity is conditional. Well, if you do this, then I'll flip the switch and become feminine. Or I'll flip the switch and then I'll do this. I'll cooperate, basically. So their cooperation and their femininity is for sale. It's conditional. So that's my definition or examples of what I mean when I say traditional woman versus a modern woman.
Okay. I see your definition, and that's fair because I wanted to understand what you mean because those aren't my definitions. Okay. Some of it might share some similarity, but that's not my definition. So when I'm sitting up here as representing Blue Pill today, to me, Blue Pill traditional is a woman who is strong enough to be able to assist a man in anything that he has in his life as goals. So yes, she wants to be a mother. She wants to be a wife. She wants loyalty from a man, and she's going to hold him to his words that he promised her. So if that man walks down the aisles and says to have her and only her till death do they part, she's holding him to that as much as she turn around and he get her to say the same things to have him and only him till death do they part. So what I'm saying is, I'm sorry, what's that, brother?
I just said, and then she breaks it 80% of the time.
No. What I'm saying is, well, I mean, in your view, it's a possibility that either one of them could break it, good brother. To be fair, because I've seen many men break it and women break it. To be fair,
yeah, I know we have the numbers.
Let him finish his point. Let him finish his point, Reed.
So a traditional woman is going to hold her husband to the vow because she desires to be a wife and a mother, and it's based on her being able to trust that the man is going to keep his word. She's giving himself to her, and to the point that a traditional woman will even put down some of her own life goals that she may have had as an individual woman before she got with the man, because she desires to be that. That's a traditional woman. Now, a modern woman, to Zadok, can have those same, some of those same qualities as the traditional woman, but the modern woman is forced because of a lack of control of resources to also, before she even meets a man, chase after a career, to be educated, because it's no guarantee that a man is going to take care of her. She hoped to meet one, but what if she don't? What if she don't meet that man until she's 35 years old? What has she done from high school age up until that time So a modern woman could be a woman of great education. She could be a career woman and still desire to want to be a mother, to want to be a wife, and she desires the loyalty of a man, and is still, her money doesn't mean that she treats her husband foul. But modern means that the society dictates that she ain't grown up in an egalitarian agrarian society. She's not Laura Ingalls Little House on the Prairie. She might be college educated and she might make more than the man she meets, but her standard for the man doesn't necessarily have anything to do with, oh, you have to match me. That modern woman who has that stance is just a foul woman. But a modern woman, in my example, in my opinion, because I asked you yours, but I'm telling you mine, that term modern is almost used. And guess what you didn't say in your example of that I heard? You said nothing about the woman's ambition. You said nothing about the woman's pedigree that she brings to the table besides her desire for the man. And I think that's the flaw in your view.
Okay, can I
Okay,
respond?
so yes, you can respond, Reed, but before you respond, after this, it's up to you guys. We can go to question and closing, or we can stretch this out about another 10, 15 minutes. What y'all want to do?
I'm good.
I want to stretch it out.
All right. All right, so go ahead, Reed, respond.
Okay, so yeah, you're right. You're right. I did not include or talk about the woman's, ambition and all that, because, to a traditional man, that doesn't matter. Okay, I'm not saying she can't have an ambition. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that when he's looking for a wife, he's not like, I wonder what her ambition is. It doesn't matter, because he's on his program. He's living on his purpose. He's on his purpose. He is the train in which she's trying to get on. He's not trying to get on her train. He's not trying to, like I said earlier, he's not trying to well, I need to find a woman so that I can be okay in retirement so she can help me retire or whatever. It's not like that. The woman is getting on his program. And you're right. Everything you said about, a modern woman. Oh, he didn't say nothing about her, her education and her money and everything. All that stuff you said, a modern woman. Yeah, it is about her education. It is about her money, but it also makes her almost damn near unfit to be married. You know why? Because her hypergamy kicks in. That she prioritizes her money and her education above everything. And then if the man doesn't have that, meet it or beat it, she's going to be gone before too long. And you made an example. You said, okay, well, there are some women who are with men who they might make more than him, or she might have a higher degree or something like that. Guess what? Those relationships are doomed. That's on the clock right there too. Why? Because her hypergamy. Her very nature works against her for wanting to go up. Why do you look at all these examples of these celebrity women, these superstar women, all these women, and all of a sudden they can't keep a marriage? And the ones who are not in a marriage, they can't find a man. Why? Because they have so much money. So the higher their income, the less men. Her dating pool is limited. It goes down. It shrinks. Her dating pool shrinks. So now she can't, according to her own hypergamy, she can't find a man now. Oh, she makes $200,000 or she makes $300,000. Okay, you're talking about even at $100,000, you're talking less than 15%, and that's both male and female. Okay, so you don't even have that many. And then you're talking about $250,000. It goes way down, like 7%. So it goes down more and more. It's like 1% makes $400,000 or more per year, and that's men. Okay, with 1%. So when you talk about your Vivica Foxes and your Lisa Rays and all that, and now Tia Mowry or whatever, they're gonna have a hard time finding a man, because those men are rare. That according to what they want. Okay, according to what they want, the kind of man that they want. So when you talk about a modern woman, they almost disqualify themselves, because they don't want the regular guy. They don't want that. They want some pie in the sky guy. And then they also base, being modern, the reason why I said they're unfit for marriage is because they base their life on happiness alone. And marriage is not built on that. Okay, let me say this. I'm not saying that there is no happiness in the marriage. What I'm saying, the marriage is supposed to be built on duty and covenant. I have a duty, my role, and the covenant, my promise. Okay, that's what it's built on. And when those are being fulfilled, then happiness can come in. It's like, you know what? He can say, hey, I take care of my woman. I provide for her. I protect her. I lead her. I'm committed to her. I feel happy. She's a good woman. She's worth it. I feel happy. Same thing with the woman. She's happy and fulfilled because she has family and she has family and she has children. A guy who she honors and she respects. So I'm not talking about her career because I don't want to bring up the Bible like that. I'm trying not to make it a Bible debate, but since you brought it up, I will say this. It says, and your desire shall be for your husband. I don't care about your degree. I don't care about your money. Okay? I don't care about any of that because that's not what's going to make the marriage strong. Duty and commitment is going to make that strong. With traditional roles, me doing what I'm supposed to do as a man and she's doing what she's supposed to do as a woman. Time immemorial proves that what works. This modern stuff, it's still young. It's 60 years old and it doesn't work. Look at the stats. It doesn't work. So you can try to pick at the nuances of the stats if you want. But what we do know is it doesn't work. That's what we know. That's the issues. It does not work, period. And they want to shove the man out of the home. And we're going to, and I'll get into that in a second. But since I'm just answering that question, I'm gonna leave that right there. Modern doesn't work. So if you have a traditional man and a modern woman, it doesn't work. You have a traditional woman and a modern man, it ain't going to work, period. There has to be a match. Period.
Yeah.
Tradition we know works because it worked for thousands of years. Modern, we don't know. We know it doesn't work so far.
Yeah, I'm gonna say that I hey, I respect your view, but it's clear that some of it I do agree with, Rob. But some of it I just simply don't. That's clear, and I don't mind. I mean, I don't speak to be agreed with. I speak to be heard. You know what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, I think that the problem with what you're saying is this. I think that the role of a woman, which you sound like you talking about, and you talk about something that worked for thousands of years, and that worked for thousands of years in many societies where women did not have the same rights as men. That's true. So once again, the idea of a traditional woman, you had yours, and I respect you for telling me your definition. And the reason that I gave you mine is because there was a certain kind of woman, for many in church culture, they talk about the Proverbs 31 woman, the virtuous woman. Any of you go and read Proverbs 31, it wasn't Solomon's words. He was repeating the words of his mama that she told him being a king. And him being a king, he needed a certain kind of woman. So she said, basically, give your strength to beautiful women. She told him to look for a virtuous woman. And what I'm telling you all is that the qualities of this virtuous woman was a woman who her husband and her children have a great reputation and are called blessed by other men because of how this woman produces, and on her own initiative, she go purchase a field. She takes servants and do this. She has skills that go beyond. Y'all know something that wasn't in the Proverbs 31 woman. I want all you church folk to go listen to this. And the reason it's relevant, because that's still something that women claim to be today. In Rob's definition of a more traditional woman and mine, but I think also I said my modern woman held some of them skills as well, is this. You won't find anything in the Proverbs 31 that got something solely to do with a woman birthing kids and being at home cooking for a man. Everything in Proverbs 31 made an industrious woman who produces and brings value. So guess what? What is a virtuous woman? It's not a woman who just do what you say and have kids for you and she at home with dinner on the table. That's an invention of the United States. That's the American housewife. That's a post-World War II creation. Now, what I'm going to say to you all is this in closing, because I know we're not going to be here all night. For the average man, if you just want to be with a woman simply because she make you feel good, she stroke your back and this, that, and the third, I think you're being short-sighted. For the men who have the financial fortitude, hey, you don't need to do nothing. I don't need you to work. I don't need you. I don't need you to desire to have a career. I don't need you to put in 20 years nowhere. I got that. I'm going to clap it up for y'all homies. But for the average guy watching tonight, the average black, white man, whatever you are, and you're out here looking for a woman, if you're a guy who only in America, with your level of education and where you are, you hoping to get somewhere, but your reality is that right now you desire a wife. And bro, you make about 40, $50,000 a year, maybe. Hey, I hope that you can upgrade your financial situation, and I hope your education level can step up, and who knows how you might produce financially in the future. But you would be remiss that if you desire to have children down the line, there's no guarantee on what your financial ability alone is going to be in the future. So I would recommend that you also look for a woman who has ambition like you do. And you like, well, hey, babe, if I can get myself right now, I only make about 40,000, but I'm trying to get myself in the next 10 years. I'm hoping to double my income. If you desire to live off of 80 grand gross before taxes, cool. But if you desire to be a $250,000 a year man, you might want a woman who has business acumen or even has a career like yourself. She has ambition, but she loves you as well. And she desires to be a wife, and she desires to have children. Because as in America, as the economy gets more out of control and the prices of wages don't rise with inflation, so a lot of brothers are going to find themselves starting to have stresses of not being able to even themselves reach the financial desires they want in the future. And I hope some of you have a woman who has skill enough to be able to complement it. It's not about, oh, I'm just depending on her and I'm not going to do nothing. But in the United States, before the Industrial Revolution, 85% of married couples ran family businesses together. The wife literally ran the specialty business with the husband. Before we had shoes in Foot Locker stores, you had families of cobblers, husbands and wives who were masters in making shoes and raised sons and daughters to become masters in making shoes. Wagon makers. The Industrial Revolution. How is it that 85% of American families, I'm talking about married couples, 85% of them ran a family business together? And that's not the stat if we want to put stats on the table. What I'm telling you all is that now that most men, average men, are wage earners, any of you brothers who are desiring to have a wife, I pray that you find a woman who is going to be able to bring more to the table than just have you some beautiful babies and have some dinner on the table when you get home. But that you have a woman, if need be, can get out in the workplace, or y'all are entrepreneurs together and can build business together because she either has skill or she's willing to learn it when you suggest it as a wise leader of your family. And for the brothers who got it all financially and you don't need a woman to bring that to the table, man, I salute y'all. I just don't know too many of you.
All right, Reed, I'm gonna let you respond. Reed, by the way, you have like a clickly sound. Let me see if it's still there. Hold on.
Okay.
Okay, it sounds okay now. Yeah, I had to mute you. See, there it go again. It's like some kind of clicking or something.
Okay. Let me see.
And I didn't want it to overshadow what Zadok was saying, so I had to mute you.
Okay, hold on. Okay. How about now? How does that sound?
Good, perfect. So I want you to respond what he says. If you guys don't have any more questions for each other, I got some questions from the people, and I got my own questions and from what I heard. So you can respond, Reed.
Whatever Rob said. I don't have any more questions. Personally.
Okay, so Reed, you respond, and then I'm going to ask you guys some questions from the people. Everybody in the comment section, I hear y'all got a lot to say. Y'all got a lot to say out there. So if you have any question for Zadok or any question for Reed, put it in there. Reed, question.
Hey,
Zadok,
make
question.
sure Enigma Neek TV, make sure he put a question in the chat that you asked me directly, because he act like he wants smoke.
Well, you just heard him, so you go ahead and ask a question.
Put your question in the chat, homie.
Put your question. So
all
Reed, go ahead.
Well, let me ask you this: is this my close, or am I just?
This is not your close. This is just you responding to everything he just said, and then we're going into the questions, and then we go into the close.
Oh, okay. Well, just to respond with some of the things that he said, I find it a little bit disturbing. The reason why I find it disturbing is because it's the same old. But again, it does fit the definition of blue pill. So, gentlemen, it's out. He's saying, hey, find a good woman, same ambition as yours and stuff like that. That's what that's what they've been trying to do, right? And he's saying that, oh, well, the Proverbs 31 is, industrial woman and stuff like that. Sure, a woman can work, that I don't have a problem with that. She could work and things like that. I'm just saying that is not on the forefront, okay? So a couple of things. Again, I was saying that, hey, you know, it doesn't, you know, a woman, she becomes unfit as far as, you know, marriage material. So I'm looking here. You guys see me looking down. This site here, I was just looking at the characteristics of, you know, a modern woman. I just want to show you this or whatever. Just show you that's what I'm looking at. Okay, characteristics of a modern woman. It's on mirror.co.uk. If you guys want to see it yourself, right? But it was giving me a couple of characteristics, and I'm not gonna look at all of them. I'm just gonna look at a couple of them real quick if I could pull it up. But it is acting, the site itself is acting a little bit weird. But I had just pulled it up here, and one of the let's see here, if I can get it to act right, I'll read it off. I'll read off a couple things how it describes a modern woman, if I can get it act right. Otherwise, if not, I'll just go on and make my other point. Okay, so anyway, some of the other points. I couldn't get it act right, so I'm gonna go ahead and just respond to what he was saying. He was giving some of the same old answers, the same old, you know, hey, you know, just find a good woman and everything will be okay. And I'm talking about, you know, the risk that men have to take because of the issue. So let's talk about the issue. We were talking about before that, you know, with welfare and euphemism and all this other stuff, it just messed things up, right? So let me just look at just a couple of things. We got a lot of single family homes, and I want y'all to notice something. He didn't use a stat. He's not big on the stats, but he just used a stat. He's talking about 85% women helping with the family business and all that other stuff, right? Supporting the I give him credit for trying to support the, you know, the blue pill side. He's definitely on the blue pill side of just status quo. Everything is fine, and the men need to do something different. I mean, well, need to step up or something like that, right? I don't want to misrepresent him, but if we look at a couple things, the issue is this: when you give up your leadership, when you give up, well, I should put it like this: when you run your man out of the house, okay, bad things happen. You don't have that leadership, that support, that guidance. You don't have any of that, and bad things happen. That's why we were talking about when I was saying men pursuit of masculinity. That's why you have the rise of people like, you know, Jordan Peterson, Andrew Tate, Kevin Samuels. They're just simply filling a void. That's it. There's a huge void. They letting them know that, hey, it's okay to be a man. Because why? They've been emasculated by their women. They've been ran out of the house by their women. Their children have been weaponized against them by their women. Okay, so that's what we're talking about here. Okay, the issue. So the issue, again, single parent home stats, right? 37.8% of single mothers are divorced. 41% was never married. 6.5%, you know, are widows. So a very low percentage of widows, right? That's from the Brookings Institute. Another one, the strongest predictor of whether a person will end up in prison is that if they were raised by a single parent. C.C. Harper and S.S. McClellan. Okay, father absence and youth incarceration. Okay, it says here, San Francisco, 1988 and 1996, 70% of inmates in the state juvenile detention centers serving long sentences were raised by single mothers. Okay, Wade Horn, why there's no substitute for parenting, right? That's in 97. All right, and I'll just give one more. I'll just give one more because I'm just addressing that. 72% of juvenile murderers, okay, and 60% of grape came from single mother homes, okay? And this was back in 2004, okay? So the issue is when our women become untethered from us, meaning they don't even think they belong to us, okay? Women been asked, okay, if they ask the black woman, do you belong to the black man? Nobody controls me. We don't belong to nobody. Even the person I had a conversation with on this show last week, the same thing. Nobody hold anybody accountable. Everybody hold themselves accountable and stuff like that. Like I said, what leadership? Leaders don't hold other people accountable. Parents don't hold their children accountable. What are you talking about? So we can't hold each other accountable. You can't do anything. And left to their own devices, this is the result that you get. Now, I know a lot of blue pill people want to push back on it and be like, well, because the men left. And no, most of the time men are getting ran out. It's not that they're left. You're still adhering to the same dogma, the same narrative. Okay, but we can go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay. So this is what we're gonna do. I only see a few questions, so let me get the people's questions first, or comments, and then we'll go to my questions that I had. My questions aren't my questions; they're just questions that I got from commenters and other people I've seen talking about these issues. So the first one we'll go to is this one looks like it's a comment. It's I guess this isn't a question. It's at Zadok. We don't mind. I guess they meant to say we don't mind our women being able to hold weight and go to war with us. We don't mind her making money. We don't mind her having the education. So I guess that's a comment. Do you want to comment to that comment? I don't know, because it's a
Well,
comment.
if he
not a
don't
question.
mind it, then he agree with me.
Okay. All right. You want to comment on that, Reed?
No, I mean, I agree. I mean, no, I mean, we don't mind it. As far as on the blue pill, on the red pill side, we don't mind. It's just that kind of stuff is not important on the red pill side, because what we're looking for is who's going to make a good mate. Okay. Who's going to make a good mate for us? Who's going to be a good wife to us? And who's going to be a good mother to our children? And who's going to fulfill their duty? So we stay together, because that's the secret to marriage, is staying together. Duty and covenant. That's the secret right there. That's the secret.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Next
Wait,
one.
hold on. I want to say something.
Yes, sir.
Hey, hold on for a second. I want to say something. Hey, Rob, I salute you. We're experts, and our experiences just might be different. I'm an expert in what it means for a man to take care of and love a woman. I'm an expert. Some of these guys in the comment section might not be. And unfortunately, some of them may have been hurt by foul women. I've been hurt by foul women, and I done hurt some too. But I'm letting y'all know I'm an expert. I've been married. God willing, I'm about to celebrate my 25th year of marriage. And it's not about perfection. It's not about the woman did everything right. And it's not about I did everything right. It is about the covenant. Y'all know, for better, for worse, for good, this, that, and the third. Some men and women just don't keep their promise to each other. And the red pill problem is that they claim they got some new data. And y'all know what the new data is? Every damn problem that got me as a man not being able to find a woman I want, it's their fault. You ever notice red pill hardly ever have conversations about men? Their conversations are aimed at women. Any problem with hey, brother, get yourself together. But if you want to know why you can't find a good woman, it's because it's hardly any out here. But reality says, how is it I'm presiding over marriages with people who want to get married? Y'all do know that a lot of people who get married in churches only go to a church because it's tradition, not because they're church people. How is this happening? What I'm saying is, Rob, you had great stats tonight, but I proved that the stats are not explaining the micro of what's happening. The stat is just a stat, and it don't give too much data at all. And I asked you two questions, and you said, while the stat is a general stat, the stat doesn't give me the details that you asked, Zadok, and that's a fair shake. So if it don't give the details, then don't use it as details in the manner that y'all trying to use.
No.
Yeah.
All
Can I
right.
respond?
Yeah, you can. Go on, make it short so I can get to the next comment. But go ahead.
Okay. I'll make it short.
Not too short, but I still want you to get your point out. So not too short, but
okay. So the first part about, and then we need to move on. Otherwise, we'll be back and forth.
Exactly.
Okay,
We're gonna get to the next comment.
Okay, so on the red pill, talking about that we don't have conversations about it's the man's fault. That is not true at whatsoever in the red pill community, because that's exactly what the men do. They hold the other men accountable. They said, okay, you're not having the success or whatever, then you need to raise your status. You need to be working out. You need to be reading more books. You need to be working on yourself. You need to increase your value. We say all that. You need to say, you need to get off. You need to stop playing the video games and stop eating Cheetos in your mother's basement. You need to get in your own place. If you looked at any of these things, is exactly what they're telling them to do. Get your life together, period. There are plenty of times, whether it be Andrew Tate, whether it be Jordan Peterson, whether it be Kevin Samuels, all of them, they say that it's like, well, you don't deserve a woman. You're not ready. You're not doing what you should be doing. You're not a man yet. Okay, you're not working. What? You're only making 30,000. Okay, what are you doing? Okay, I understand. Okay, so you have a 9 to 5. Okay, what are you doing a 5 to 9? These are the conversations that are being had. So it seems like you're not even in that space or looking at that space. So the men are holding each other accountable. That's how men are getting better. That's what they're doing. They're saying, you know what? That I'm not getting the outcome that I want, so let me change what I am doing. Then they turn their gaze towards the women. If I get better and I raise my status, I don't want the same ratchet or modern women. I don't want them. I want something better. I bettered myself. Now I want something better for I better myself. Now I want something better to marry. That is what's going on in that particular community. That, my brother, was a misrepresentation of the red pill. Now we can move on to the next thing.
I just find red pill to be weak. I'll be honest with you. It's
okay. But let's go to the next comment, and it says, Reed, being a Hebrew who holds the Bible as a standard and arguing a secular argument is super dangerous. The brothers that would come to the faith is mind blowing, honestly. What would your comments be today? Yeah, it's to you. So
okay, it's to me. First,
it's yours.
Okay, first and foremost, I think that's disingenuous and ignorant. The question, not the person. I don't know the person, because these stats are exactly the same in our community as out of our community. Like Brother Zadok, he was talking about all these marriages, he's seen all that, but guess what? The divorce, the stats is the same, okay? As far as the divorce, at the same rate, it is the same. People in this faith get divorced at the same rate as people outside of the faith. And more to the commentor in that question or that statement is like, oh, well, that's scary. How can somebody who teach the Bible talk about secular things? Because we live in a secular world. I would prefer all of us to be in the kingdom right now, so we don't have a debate about anything. But we have to deal with secular problems. We're dealing with divorce. We're dealing with abortion. We're dealing with infidelity and adultery. We're dealing with all these things that are out here in the world. So it's not smart for any of us to put our head in the sand and be like, well, let's not talk about that because that's not Bible. And we also said through it, both myself and Zadok said, this isn't a Bible debate. We can go back and forth and we can talk about this from a biblical perspective. Both of us can. But we chose not to talk about it because we want to broaden the audience of who would listen to us. Zadok and I, we've known each other for a little while, even if it is just from the debate circuit. That's fine. But we both know that we could just talk Bible all night. We could talk Bible for 5 hours. But that's not what this is about. We're talking about what is the problem in the Black community, not the Hebrew Israelite community or the Christian community. That's why we're talking about this. And then they're talking about, they're aiming it at me. But the guy I'm talking to, Zadok, Brother Zadok, I got no hate towards Brother Zadok. He's a Bible teacher too. And we're talking about the same thing. So that right there is a disingenuous question to begin with. Continue.
Zadok, it's on you. You want to respond to that?
Yes, I would like to share my screen.
All right, so I keep it a little short now because we got these questions to get to.
Hey, you wanted this on your platform, so take this.
I do.
You want this on your platform? You know what I mean? Because it could have. You know what I mean? All right, here we go.
I don't see it yet.
Here we go, sis. Right there. So I just want to show y'all why the stats are flawed, and this is real simple. All right. Now it doesn't mean that the stats don't have truth. That the stat overall isn't true. I would just want to give y'all an example. So I asked Rob, so let's just say, because these numbers are hypothetical, they're not telling you like the 51% of men between 18 and 30. It more than likely the stats don't give you a number, meaning this number represents out of a pool of males. So I'm just going to use a hypothetical number. Let's say 10 million, right? Let's say 51% of 10 million. And this is for all the, the cats who just don't seem to get it for some reason. What is 51% of 10 million? Why didn't it do that? Why didn't it? Come on. Oh, maybe the number too big. Hold on for a second, y'all. Let me put it down here. Maybe the number is too damn big. So let's just say 1,000. Goodness, I gotta use 10,000. Will y'all give me 10,000? Okay. Oh no, I'm sorry. That was wrong. Up here. I gotta make this number small. I guess this number was too big up here. Sorry, y'all. This idea just came to mind so y'all can see visually what I'm saying. Once again, I don't think that it's an issue with what Rob is saying when he used stats. What I'm saying, the stats he's using have limitations. So let's just use this arbitrary number of 10,000. 51% of 10,000 is 5,100. So let's just say out of that number, 5,100 men, young black men between the ages of 18 and 30, aren't married and don't have children. When I ask, okay, so out of this 5,100, what details do we have on why they don't have children and aren't married? That information doesn't exist. But this number of 5,100 young men between 18 and 30, if you're not careful, can sound like it means black women have some fault in 5,100 young men between the ages of 18 and 30 not being married or having children. How many of these young men are in college? How many of these young men are actually engaged and just aren't married yet? How many of these young men actually don't even desire a wife and have no plan on being committed and actually just want to live their life? They don't really want to be attached to a woman, not in a marriage. It don't mean that they won't be with a woman, that they won't, as long as a woman understand where he coming from, like Nas said back in the day, I ain't got no game. It's just some women understand my story. Okay, cool. What I'm saying is if you use this, the stat might be true. You got 5,100 guys who between 18 and 30 who aren't married. Now, how many of them guys don't even want to ever be married just because they don't want to be in a committed relationship? They don't want to be locked down. How many of them are in a marriage because they can't find a woman who even desires to marry them? How many of them actually are engaged, or how many of them want to get married and just simply have a plan? They want their credit score a certain way. They want to have a certain amount of money in the bank. Some of these guys want to own a home. Some of these guys are working on their career, and they telling a girlfriend. Notice what that stat doesn't show. It don't show how many of them are in relationships. So when you put a stat in front of Zadok, I'm the guy that's going to take you and ask you, well, do you know these details? And if you say, no, I can accept that, then this stat is only an indicator of who's not married. No reason why or why not.
All right, let's go to the next comment or question. Blue Pill, do you hold any women accountable for their actions? Shaking my head. So I guess that would be going to Zadok. Do you hold women accountable for their actions?
Well, you can only hold a woman accountable who is going to respond to being accountable. So I'll tell you this. My daughters, I raised two young women. One of them isn't married, and one has been in two marriages. But I also know details of things that happen on why the one isn't married anymore. One of them was a situation with a man, and the other one was a situation with her own decision making. Now, I got about 4 young women who actually presided over their marriages, and their marriages are working out. Some of them got married when they were about 21, 22 years old, and they're still married. But guess what? You asking like Rob told y'all, I'm a Bible teacher. So understand, even though I don't always quote the Bible, there ain't nothing I said tonight that the basis of it isn't found in the Word of God. So when you are talking to a young woman who actually says, yo, I want to get my life in order, now she desires accountability. And guess what? Every man who I counsel has come with the same thing. I'll ask Yeshua always any question. I'll ask him a return question, and it's rhetorical because he's not up here. Hey, Yeshua always, if you got anybody in your family who had a heroin addiction or a crack addiction, unfortunately, if that existed in your family, even though you told a person what they're doing is detrimental to the family and to themselves, when were you able? Holding someone accountable means you have power to. Not just telling them they're wrong. Of course, we could tell people they're wrong, but holding someone accountable actually means you have the power to do it. How many people in your family, if they had a drug addiction, were you able to hold accountable without them first admitting they had a problem and then willing to take your advice to seek change. Other than that, all they was the family member can't nobody make stop doing drugs. This hold accountability thing is really, y'all don't mean y'all have power to hold anyone accountable. Y'all, because y'all can't make them be accountable. Y'all mean, Zadok, do you tell women that they're wrong? That's what you mean. Of course, I do that all the time. And many of them don't listen. And the few who do, they got hope. I tell many brothers, they wrong. Many of them don't listen. But the brothers who do listen, they're on the path to change.
All right, Reed, do you want to respond? Do you want to respond to blue pills? Do they hold women accountable? In your opinion, do you think the blue pill holds women accountable? Or anything?
I do not. I don't think blue pill hold women accountable at all. I think that they actually enable them. I think that is what's the problem. I think the reason why we don't hold like the reason why people like, for example, look at, Russell Wilson the way he is because he's like a beta male. He's like a beta Bob or whatever. He put up with a lot of stuff. Blue pill people put up with a whole lot, which is why you have what you have today. You look at someone like Will Smith. Okay, we don't have much respect. Well, only blue pill people do, but we don't have much respect for a guy like that because he's blue. He doesn't hold Jada accountable, right? You notice in that whole backlash, most of the time when you looked at men. Actual men thought that what Will did to Chris Rock was wrong, but mostly modern women, they thought it was great. They're like, oh yeah, he's standing up for her honor and stuff like that. No, blue pill gentlemen are enablers of modern women. They can do no wrong. They justify it or whatever. They justify it. And the reason why is because because single mothers raise blue pill men. Now, you can come out of that. A man can come out of that. From that mindset, but yeah, he has this queen mother got a simp chip. Mom can do no wrong. They believe happy wife, happy life. They just enable the behavior. There's no solution with that. So yeah, no. Do they hold them accountable? No. Blue pill guys, the blue pill side does not hold them accountable whatsoever. Okay, period. They just don't. They enable them. They whatever. There's a reason. There's an excuse for everything that they do. Everything that a modern woman does, everything that a wicked woman does, but I'll just say modern because I'm not trying to turn into a Bible discussion. Everything that a modern woman does is justified. She gets a divorce. Oh, there's a reason. This is the reason why. When I told you, you can go to various stats. You can go to various lawyer stats because when they go to get divorced and they go sign papers and stuff like that, they tell the lawyer why. You can go to lawyer stats and you see top 10 reasons why people get divorced, why they file for divorce and stuff like that. Okay. Now, we also know that modern women, they like being empowered. And at the same time, they like being victims. If they go get a divorce, oh, they're a victim. They're a victim all of a sudden. Blue pill guys, it's just a same thing. And I'll close. Let me land the plane. It's the same thing for the guys who were shaming, not Zadok, because he said he don't have a problem with passport boys. He said he had no problem with that. So I'm not talking to him. But it's the same thing for the guys who have an issue with men grabbing their passport to go find a more traditional woman. They use the same tactics as the women. Shame, guilt, insults need to be right, which is very weird. I'm like, why would you have a problem with a guy going somewhere else to get a woman or whatever? And it doesn't have to be that, oh, he can't get a woman. He just don't like what he has. But they say, oh, well, just try this, try that, get some game, get some swag, all this other stuff, which is just sweet words and game. Get some swag or something like that. They basically telling you, okay, you're not catching anything in this pond, go to the other side of the same damn pond. It doesn't make any sense whatsoever. There's no solution. They just enable the problem. No matter what, single mothers, overweight, wicked, rebel, nothing. It doesn't matter. There's a reason for it. She's justified. It's something that the man needs to do. Go ahead.
All right, next comment. This is at you, Reed. Do you believe that a man should get married? But Reed, do you believe that a man should get married? But it should only be to a traditional woman. That means it's up to the man to find that and has nothing to do with the women, right?
Okay. I understand the first part. I'm sorry. It's just real. Okay. You know what? Let me switch.
You want to see it again? It's right here. I'll put it back up. I guess the first part is, do you believe that men should get married? That's the first part. Do you even believe they should get married? Then the second part is, it should only be to traditional women. Do you believe it only should be to traditional women? And if that's the case, if you believe that they should get married and it only should be to traditional women, they want to know, does that mean that it's up to the man to find that? And that means it would have nothing to do with the woman.
100%. Let me answer the first part. Do I believe that men should get married? Yes. Every man who desires to get married, I think that he should get married. And he said, but it should only be to a traditional woman. Absolutely. Absolutely. If you're a traditional man and you believe that you should protect, provide, lead, then if you get married, you should only marry a traditional woman, because that's the only way marriage works. It doesn't work with modern women unless that modern woman has a modern man and they just make up the rules as they go, because that's really what it is. There's really no rules. There's no rules for that whole modern thing. So to answer your question, yes. Okay. And that last part is so, and that's the case, is up to the man to find the traditional woman. Absolutely. It's absolutely 100% up to the man to find that traditional woman. So
I want to ask something real quick, and I'm gonna get to you, Zadok. This is just for me real quick. If that's the case, if that's how you're breaking that down, then women that are divorcing at 80% or whatever the numbers are, whose fault is that then? Because if he's supposed to be finding that traditional woman, but the divorce rate is so high, what's going on? Where's the disconnect? What's happening?
Then my question would be, is she traditional?
Oh, so you believe that these women that are filing for divorces are most likely not traditional women?
I can't say all, because I can't say all. That'd be dangerous. There are some traditional women getting a divorce, and they're getting a divorce for a legitimate reason. So I can't say that 80% of these women that are doing it, I can't say that, they're all modern. So there's a lot of caveats there. One caveat is, one, is she traditional in the first place? Okay. And two, did he properly vet her to see if she's a proper match, or to see if she's traditional or not? I don't know if the guy asked her the right questions. Some guys walk into a situation and ignore all the red flags. So we had a conversation before, and I say a lot of times with men, that's a long answer. But I said a lot of times with men, you have to vet. Okay. And a lot of men don't know how to properly vet. So I'll just leave it there to make the answer short, so we can keep going.
All right, Zadok, do you want to respond to the question? You need me to put it back up, or you got it?
Yeah, I understand the question. I think Rob said it correctly. I just want to tell you the problem with so-called red pill men and blue pill men when it comes to the question the brother asked. Blue pill men claim they're vetting women. So do red pill men. And in the midst of vetting women, an inordinate high percentage of these Negroes sex the woman before they commit to the woman, before the woman has proven herself. In the midst of the vetting process, he need to be touched down there. And that destroys everything. So guess what? What I'm saying to you all is this. Red pill, blue pill men are sinners. And because of that, they are hypocrites, many of them. How many men claim to be red pill and are heavy fornicators? And until they find the woman who is traditional, these Negroes sleep around with modern women. So they claim they red pill, and they, I'm looking for this specific, they're looking for a particular kind of woman to wife. And just like they talk about this modern woman's body count, a lot of these red pill men are not traditional men. They're half and half. They want a traditional woman, but they're modern in their sexual practice. Now, unless these Negroes is virgins, I'm telling you, and unfortunately, and I'm not trying to speak against the brother because he perished, but a champion in the manosphere, a brother like Kevin Samuels. It was so evil what the hell. I saw a whole bunch of women saying against that brother when he perished, when they found him, he had passed away. But it's also unfortunate to say you're a high value man, and when you die, you're in a hotel room with a female nurse who you met the night before for the first time. The woman told the police she had just met Kevin the night before, and they went out and they did this, that, and the third, and they went back to the spot and they were sexual with one another. And when he woke up in the morning, unfortunately, he met his demise. What I'm telling you all is that's not for me to judge Kevin, because this one episode is not indicative of his entire life. Only God can judge him. But what I'm telling you is when the apostle says, for the man who tell the next man not to steal, do you steal? How you going to, what is high value really? Because if you're a high value man, you saving yourself for a high value woman. So I'm saying if a man say he's high value and he a red pill man looking for a traditional woman, but in the meantime, he willing to have one night stands or not committed relationships with a few modern women until he find a high value, until he find a traditional woman, he fugazi. And any blue pill man who claim to hold to a standard in that regard, and he do the same thing, he fugazi.
All right. So this is what we're gonna do. What we're gonna do now is we're gonna go to my questions that I had researched a few questions, and then I'm going to let you guys get your closing statements. I don't really see any more questions. I just see people having comments. So this is my first question. Try to keep it under a few minutes because we're almost already at 10 o'clock. So we'll go through these questions and then we'll do our closing statement. So my first question would be, all right, I want to talk about equality. So we have this situation with equality when it comes to red pill and blue pill, right? A lot of red pill men don't believe that women and men are equal. They believe they're equal in the sense of like human rights, you know. But when it comes to like a marriage, a family, raising children, all that good stuff, they don't think that women are equal. From a lot of blue pill brothers, I hear them saying that women are equal. In the same regard of everything, raising kids, everything. So my question would be this. Since women have been fighting for equality, do you believe that it has been beneficial or it has having a negative effect on the Black community? The women fighting for all this equality. I want to be able to vote. I want to be able to work. I want to be able to, all the stuff that comes with equality. Do you believe that it has helped or hurt our Black community? And Zadok, you can answer first.
Well, it depends. I don't think that, I think that it's subjective. It's subjective. And it's subjective to who to who the people are in the situation. Because at the end of the day, on one hand, unfortunately, because I know that there are many men who abandon women and lie to them to get in them draws. You know, like people said, we live in a generation where, you know, there's a certain kind of situation. Women talking about, I don't need no man, this, that, and the third. But I grew up in a generation in the late 90s where one of my favorite songs was this. Female dogs ain't sugar, honey, iced tea, but hoes and tricks. That was Snoop Dogg. And where I'm from, that bumped on the block all the time. I played that record. I knew the words. So, hoes and tricks. Ha, 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 ha. So how many men are being raised with that? And then at the same time, women being raised with that. And they getting out here in the world where many of them, outside of the ones who had the mom and the dad in the house and they grew up with a certain situation and they just went left or right, and males too, in a society where African Americans, males and females, we don't even hold 5% of generational wealth in the greater American spectrum. How is a woman going to live without her right to vote as a citizen, without her ability to be able to pursue her own career, make her own money? Now, if she meet a man and that man live under them exact same rights in society, then depending on who they are and what they work out between one another will determine how that go. But I'm saying to you that you have many Black men and women who have been raised by women who set a standard. And even though this mother was never able to go to college, she worked hard. She voted for the policies she wanted in society. And she pushed her children to take their education seriously because she never finished school and she wanted her children to be able to go to college. That exists too. Many college people. How many brothers in college who was raised by a single woman who was able to take care of them? They say, yo, unfortunately, I didn't have a real tight relationship with my dad. And my mom was the one who I saw work 2 jobs and this, that, and the third. So the pay that she make, it should be as best as it can be. And hopefully, if she desire education, it says that if you can get a college degree as a Black man or a woman, you actually might be able to earn up to possibly $2 million more gross over your lifetime career than a high school or general equivalency diploma person. So yes, I do think that it's a good thing overall for Black women to have their right to education and the vote and all of that. But how did it turn out? That's subjective to the woman.
All right. Reed, I had to mute you because of that sound again, but you can come off mute. Okay, so did you hear the question or you want me to repeat it?
You mean you're saying fighting for rights, has it negatively impacted?
Yeah, the Black community as far as like relationships go, do you think women fighting for this equality, do you think it had a negative or positive effect on the Black community as a whole and as far as relationships?
I think it definitely had a negative impact. I'm not going to be on the fence about it. I think it had a negative impact because it made the Black community, it made the Black family, it made it become very adversarial. These rights, is very adversarial. Black man is not, was never the Black woman's enemy. Okay. But it kind of happened once he started getting tossed out of the house, and getting the benefits and getting the rights for this and the rights for that. I find it interesting because when they start fighting for rights, in the 60s and stuff, and obviously they were trying to fight earlier than that, because they wanted to get out into the workplace and all that other stuff, even earlier than that. But when they start fighting for these rights, the women of the other races kept their men. They kept their men. Only you guys heard the stats. Only 1 in 4 Black women are going to ever be married. Okay, only a quarter, 1 in 4. Okay, the next one is like 52%, half of white women. Okay. The highest rate of marriage is Asian women, okay? And then after that, Latino women. They get married, okay? Now, their rights went up with all the other women. But Black women getting married goes way, 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 way down, okay? So that's what it says in the exact same stats, because we're talking about women in America across the board, okay? We're talking about just women in America and their rights and things like that. And I'm talking about their marriage, them getting married. So all these rights came in, but somehow, some way, our sisters, we became enemies in them getting their rights. We became their enemies. And notice, we're the community where that is affected the most. Now, they're the least married, and the least married, and the most who gets divorced the fastest. So this information, these stats, this is very important. As much as my, opponent, if you can say, because it's not like a debate, we're just on 2 different sides. But as much as he like to kind of, marginalize and malign and minimize and all that, they're important because it tells you something. It tells you something. It gives you perspective. It really does. Okay, so with that, I'll leave you. But I will say this. I'll say this one last thing in my response. As far as the stats, yes, I'm going to defend the stats, okay? And yeah, he's going to want to try to poke holes in the stats. But I think he misappropriated one stat, like for instance, the 51% and all that. Oh, it doesn't say this. It doesn't say that. It doesn't say who doesn't want to get married. Or it doesn't say who's engaged but not married yet and all that. Guess what? You completely missed the point of that stat, okay? And one commenter actually pointed it out. And he said 51% represents the men who are available, and that response is a rebuttal when women say, where are all the good men? That stat says there are a lot of good men. 51% are single and childless. There's a lot of men out there, period. That's it. But please let us go ahead and move on to the next question.
Well, you're gonna have to prove all them Negroes is good men.
I didn't say good men. I said that's the question.
Hey, bro, that stat don't let you know if they good men or not. I don't care if they're available.
That's a question. No, that's a question that the females ask. Where are all the men? That's their question.
They're asking where are the good men. We're the good one. We're the loyal one.
Okay, but okay,
and
so
51% don't prove nothing.
So the stat gives them a pool.
It don't prove
so the
nothing.
stat gives them a pool. Let me finish the question. Let me answer. The stat gives them a pool of
Let them
men.
respond,
I didn't say that they're good. Hold on, I didn't say that they're good. The stat gives them a pool of men.
All right, Zadok, go.
No, that's fine. As a father, I don't give a damn how many men available. If I gotta vet dudes for my daughter, I'm telling my daughter, yeah, it's 51%. And I done inspected all of them. 13% of them might fit the bill of what you're looking for. If I, as a father, was able to look at the stat by literally examining the 51%. So once again, it's funny how you know what?
Bet anyway.
No. Let me finish. I think, you showing me that me proving that the stats aren't a great look into any true detail. I think it was effective because you brought it back up again. I think that what has happened is this. You just said it, brother, because I said what I said because I knew that you would be able to say, Zadok, that's not fair. What's not fair? Zadok can't tell you how many of them 51% I would think I would want my daughter with. You know what's funny as parents, we can actually look at our kids play outside in the community they grow up in. And as parents, we can look at certain children and say, just because they are kids, they're not innocent. There are kids you don't want your kids to play with. So some point one can say, well, why your kids don't have friends? Hey, there's 100 kids in this neighborhood they could be friends with. But as a parent, you inspect the children and say, it's really only 15 kids in this community that I wouldn't mind sitting in front of my house and playing with my kids. So what I'm saying, brother, is that once again, I'm proven correct. The 51% is not an indicator of anything other than what you said. What's available? Everything that's available don't mean that it's good. You don't know what's good and bad.
I never said that. You're missing the point.
That don't matter.
Let's go. Okay.
All right, let's go to the next question.
How many of those are modern men and traditional men? We don't know.
That's not the point. You're missing a whole point.
That's my point. I don't care about that's important. That's important.
Okay, let's move on.
Let's move
on. Let's move on to the next question.
Let's move on.
All right, the next question is 70% of women are filing for divorce. 90% of educated women are filing for divorce. Who holds the accountability when it comes to broken families? Because we know that 80% of males that are in prison come from single parent households. So if 90% of educated women are filing for divorce and 70% or over of women are filing for divorce, who is holding that responsibility and how do we fix it? Like, that's a big part. So Zadok, you go first. Who's responsible for this and how do we fix it?
You don't know who's responsible for it. All you know is women is filing for divorce. You don't know why. That's one. Number two, as far as fixing it, Negroes need to keep their legs closed. All of you girls who your mama and your grandmamas told you don't be out here opening your legs, and you did, you throwing clothes out the back window, sneaking wearing clothes to school your mama told you not to, you need to stop. What I'm saying is, I'm going to say what Frederick Douglass said. It's easier to build strong children than to repair broken men. It is easier to build strong young women than to repair broken women. That's the answer. There's going to have to be a generation that wakes up and raises a generation of men and women who actually have a better opportunity. You know what my mama told me when I was young, audience? When parents say they want their children to have a better opportunity than they did, parents have to realize you don't have to be the fullness of what better opportunity looks like. But but more children will have a better chance of becoming what parents want their children to be if they see their parents striving for better. Because other than that, you're going to tell your children there's something better out there, but they don't find the possibility of what better starts to look like in their own family. So what's going to fix that? Somewhere in whatever is causing the marriages to break up, Someone is being selfish. Someone has been disloyal and let the other person down. And those stats simply don't give us any numbers on how many of those marriages dissolve because the woman is foul versus the man being foul. It just tell you that women is the one filing for divorce. That's it. And that's the truth. And ain't no other stat nobody gonna bring up that's gonna prove otherwise.
All right. Can I respond?
Yeah, go ahead, respond. You don't need me to repeat the question, right?
No.
Got you.
Here's the thing. What he's missing is this. Again, I said earlier, I don't support, fornication, so men just bed hopping or whatever. I don't support that, right? Here's the problem. Women control access to sex. Men control access to marriage or commitment. Men are the ones who ask, will you marry me? Women are the gatekeepers to sex. They control sex and they control who gets born. Okay. And I'm talking secularly speaking, right? But it's true regardless, but I'm talking secularly speaking. So what I mean by that is that men adapt. Gone are the days where women are requiring a man to marry them before she gives it up. Okay. We're not talking about a crime. So I don't want to argue from any extremes, no extremes. We're talking about regular people, regular man, regular woman getting together here in America. That's all we're talking about. Women used to be virtuous to the point to where it was required. She would require, hey, are you going to be my husband? Are we going to get, okay, let's get married. Okay. No sex before married. What do we say to women? Marry before you carry. That's accountable for both people, isn't it? If a woman is actually marrying before she carries, that means she's got married and then she had a child. That means the guy, married her first before he got her pregnant. So that's already accountability on both parts. But let's not forget that the woman has the access to the sex. So if he can't spit some words, if he can't have some sweet words in game, if he can't some swag, if none of that stuff worked, and she said, I don't care what kind of car you drive, I don't care what kind of house you have, I don't care about any of that, or we getting married before we get in the bed. Guess what men have to do? They have to adapt. It's just that simple. They have to adapt when it comes to sex. You harped on, oh, well, men running around, they're fornicating, they sleeping with all these people, they're derelicts, they're this, they're that, and all that. Okay, great. Guess what? Who is the gatekeeper to the sex? And again, I'm not talking about any crimes. So I don't want you rebuttaling, well, what if he takes an essay and all that? I don't want to hear that. Okay? None of that. We're talking about regular, no crimes. The woman says whether or not the man can have sex with her. And the first thing you said, trying to hold the guys accountable, this is blue pill. First thing you said, oh, guys, they need to keep their legs closed. Most guys don't have women beating on the door saying, oh, please lay down with me. The average guy doesn't have that. The average guy is trying to get sex, but the average guy don't have that. But the average guy is trying to get it. So the average guy's DM is not loaded up with people trying to sleep with them. But the average woman's DM is. She posts this, she posts this, she posts that. She posts, her breasts are out, or she has something scantily clad or something like that. Guys, men adapt. They do what works. If it doesn't take me, and I'm not saying I would do it, I'm talking about the average guy. If it doesn't take me having to put a ring on it to get it, then that's what guys gonna do. What is the old saying? Why buy the cow if the milk is for free? I didn't say it's right. I said it happens. That's why you have that. So the accountability goes to the woman because she's the gatekeeper of it. And we can go to the next question.
Okay. All right. So this question is basically regarding what are women looking for in a man, right? And I guess I would want to ask Zadok this question first. So I'm not going to say this is every woman, but a lot of women say they want a tall man. They say the 3 6s, and I ain't gonna say what they all are, but 6 feet, 6 packs, and another one. That's what they want. And 6 figures. So I think it's 4 6s, 6 figures, right? That's what most women want. The women with children, the women that are divorced, the women overweight, the women in shape, they all want that like high value man, right? what would your advice be to the brothers that aren't 6 feet, that don't have 6 inches, that don't have a six pack? What would your advice be for them in order to be able to start a family and just be successful in a long-term marriage? Or to even be able to get a woman?
That generalization don't represent all women. So because of that, at the end of the day, bro, it's you put it like this. I'm not sure I presided over any marriages that a guy looks like that. So at the end of the day, outside of this representation, like that's what all women are clamoring for. If a woman come to you, brother, and you don't fit that, and you think you gotta, hey, I got a chance with this chick, and she telling you, hey, you gotta be 6 feet tall, and you 5'4". Hey, you gotta have what you say 6, I guess down there in the private area. This, that, or in a 6-pack. What's interesting is this: how she gonna know if you got at least an okay? She could look at you and tell you ain't 6 foot tall, and she could tell you ain't no workout champion. How would she find out, my guy, about the other 6? If she tell you that's what she looking for, and you saying, well, hey, I got 1 out of the 3 you looking for, the only way she gonna know that is if you willing to show her. And once that happened, the blame is equal. So I would say, if that's not your reality, brother, if a woman come looking for that and you interested in her and you think you got a chance, and then that's her vanity list, don't pursue her. That's my advice to that brother. But that woman doesn't represent every woman. And there are too many women out here who would actually love to meet you, brother, if they believe that you would love them and that you would be a good provider, a protector, and someone who cares about their feelings. That exists out here because it's just millions of guys like you that actually found that, and they're happily married. Y'all do know that in this discussion, Christina, what's so interesting is we're dealing with numbers that represent millions. Even when you point to those who don't have a wife and a kid, that represent millions of people. Do y'all know that even when you point to the men who are married, that represent millions of married men? And when you point to the cats who out here running around, and I guess they would call them the Pookie and the Ray Rays, that's millions of men. So guess what? Don't get so caught up in the stats that you think that represent 2,000 guys in America. Bro, it's so many women out here that are looking for a man to be loyal to them. So I would ask that brother, what is your standard? Are you looking for the woman who claims she want the guy with the 6 feet tall, 6-pack? Let's add 4, 6 figures and 6 inches. Or are you willing to ignore that woman, and you're not just living your life based off of a fantasy, brother, and you obsessed with a woman who don't want you, and you chasing a woman who once she done told you what's up, and you gonna still chase after her like a puppy, and now she take advantage of you? Bro, why would you set yourself up for that, homie? Too many women out here.
All right, Robert Reed. So what would you say to the brother out there when he's running into women that are saying, I want 6 figures, 6 feet, 6-pack, and 6 downstairs?
All right, and thank you for restating the question, because I want to answer it, succinctly as possible. I want to be direct at that question. What do you say to a brother like that when women are asking for that? One of the things I would say is increase your status, period, in every way possible, in the area that you can control. For instance, you're out of shape, get in shape. You don't have much money, get your money up. Okay, get your weight up, stack your chips, stuff like that. So in take self-care, take care of yourself. Okay, become a person of value. Okay, become a person of value. Because if we look at it, yeah, most women in the modern dating market, they do ask for all those 6s. They do. But what you can do to combat that is become have a higher status. Here's the proof of that. Not every man is over 6 feet. Okay, only 15% of men are over 6 feet tall. Okay, so not every man is 6 feet. But look at those who have status. Let's say someone like Tom Cruise. He's like 5'7". Okay, he's not 6 feet. Okay, so and he wouldn't have a problem finding finding a woman. You see what I'm saying? Let's say a person like Martin Lawrence. He's not 6 feet. Okay, let's go. You can go old school. A person like Sammy Davis Jr. I know that's way back, but I'm saying he's like 5'5". He's not, he's not 6 feet. Okay, status was very high. Okay, Bruce Lee, not 6 feet, status very high. All this, Jackie Chan, not 6 feet. You see what I'm saying? So all the people, look at all the people. Most people are not 6 feet, but there are a lot of them. They won't have an issue with finding a woman because their status is high enough. Now, I'm not saying that you have to be a celebrity. You don't. All you have to do is increase your value, raise your status, make more money, stack your chips. Doesn't mean you got to be rich. Doesn't mean you got to be rich. You just got to have more than her. Okay? You got to have more. And I'm not talking about a specific her, because if you're not 6 feet, you can't make yourself 6 feet. I'm talking about in general, you can be more attractive to women. And then last but not least, do those things. Okay, increase your value, pursue your purpose. Don't make your focus women. Pursue your purpose. Okay, protect your seat along the way. And you hear me say that in my closing. And after you do that work, get yourself a passport, and instantly your status goes up.
Oh, I guess I'm talking to myself. All right. So this is what we're gonna do. I don't have any more questions. You guys pretty much answered everything, but I do want to give each one of you time to give a closing statement. Before I go to the closing statement, Zadok, Reed, do y'all have anything else you want to ask each other before we close this thing out and allow you guys close it out? Anything you want to address? Anything you feel like?
I'm good.
You ready to close it out? All right. Okay. So this is what we'll do. We'll have Zadok. I was supposed to give everybody 10 minutes, but we kind of went over. So we'll just cut it down to, I think 7 minutes.
I don't need that long, sis. Yeah, just give me like 3 minutes.
All right. 3 minutes it is. All right, Zadok. So the floor is all yours.
I'm going to say this. I took this discussion tonight because I felt that there's a lot of weakness in this so-called red pill discussion when it comes to their generalization of women. And I think that a guy like me, who ain't weak, a business owner, a guy who tours the United States, go check out my music videos. My biggest music video from 1.5 years ago is at 1 million views already. And I'm a Christian-based artist. And many of y'all never heard of me probably until y'all saw me on here tonight. I'm a business owner. I'm a man who has been married for 25 years. I'm a Bible teacher. I got cats who meet me around the country every other month, or no, about every 3 months. We meet in different cities where I go and encourage men. I walk through communities. I go to communities I ain't from. I'm the dude you find in the south side of Chicago. I'm the dude who went to the Pork and Beans projects with my brothers out there in Miami, preaching the gospel in those communities. So even though I can have a secular conversation, I don't want y'all to understand or get anything misconstrued. Y'all see this here? God's goon. That's what I represent. My worldview is not simply me trying to blame woe is me. Y'all know when my life got better when I changed. So I agree with my brother Rob in this. Hey, brother, increase your value, but all of our value ain't the same. All of our value isn't the same. I'm telling you that, brothers, when you focus on yourself and you get yourself in order with your maker, then the scripture tells us that a prudent woman is from the Lord. So when you tell me what's happening in the world, I'm not surprised that the world got so many issues, male and female. But I think I threw a dagger at the red pillars tonight. It's a whole bunch of pseudo red pillars who aren't traditional men. They want the woman to be traditional, but they're not fully traditional. They're not waiting for marriage. A lot of red pillars are out here hoeing. Now, if this don't fit you, if I threw a rock and it hit you, I wasn't trying to miss you then, right? So that rock don't hit who it don't fit. Brother, if you red pill and you claiming you want a traditional woman and these modern women are foul, don't get caught sleeping with modern women. And until you find a traditional woman, you building your body count with modern women, because to you already know they're not looking for you to commit to them. They got their own money. They're not looking for you to be this, that, and the third. So if you are this red pill, that you claim you are, then you can't be found being a hypocrite. And to the guys who would claim they blue pill, meaning that, hey, you don't think that there's too much wrong with the women and it's all the men's fault. That's as false as a damn $3 bill. If it ain't if you hand me a $4 bill and I'll say you make sense. There's a lot of men who claim to be blue pill, and some of these guys is weak. And because male don't equal leader, there's a lot of men who not looking to be married because a lot of these guys can't even take care of themselves. So guess what? If you claim to be blue pill, but when you go to hang out with your homies, you drive in a woman's car. If when homies come to your spot, it's really a home that you don't pay money for. It's a lot of dudes who claim to be blue pill and you niggas is homeless kings, meaning you pose like you the king of the castle and you not taking care of nobody. It ain't no wonder that some woman who might be traditional and she wants you, when you don't keep up your word and you say, no, baby, I am going to get a job. No, baby, I am going to do this, that, and the third. And now she kick you out her house and you can't drive her car that's in her name and she paying insurance and she don't let you take the PS5 she brought you, then you not truly a blue pill, because they're making blue pill seem, I'm going to tell y'all this, most blue pill men are truly the traditional men, meaning they're holding a woman to a standard. And they're holding a woman to say, hey, you have to be in order. But what they're not accepting is that when things go wrong, it's all the woman's fault. Because blue pill men know, no, it's a whole bunch of men who are dropping the ball. It's too many men. So at the end of the day, for anybody who don't agree with me, I don't really care about that. I didn't come here for agreement. I came here so this could be on record, because it's too many men and women who know I'm telling the truth and I'm on point like a new needle. You heard me? So with that being the case, I appreciate y'all. And for any of you in the chat who typing, my platform is Zadok the God Hop MC. I'm supporting my sister Christina. So if you in here tonight, please become a subscriber of her channel and come over to my platform, because everybody know I'm open for the smoke and I'll give you fair time. You come on my platform and we'll put a timer on the screen and I'll give you equal time to talk, just like me. We'll have the timer on the screen counting down. You don't go over, I don't go over, because it's a lot of tough typers in the audience. And I would love to talk to you one-on-one. Be solid like my man Rob. And even though we don't fully agree, he came on and gave me that smoke on his end. Those men I respect. So any of y'all in the chat typing and you don't agree to the point that you saying my name a lot, Zadok, the God Hop MC, it ain't no reason you shouldn't be subscribing to me right now, because you want to come and let me know how I got it all wrong and maybe I'm some spineless wimp who a woman couldn't respect anyway. You feel me? So, hey, with that, hey, Rob, I appreciate you, man, for coming on tonight. And Sister Christina, I appreciate you for actually opening your platform so we can have this discussion. All you pseudo red pills, get yourself in order, man, because dudes like me coming for your neck. I'm out.
Now, before you go, Zadok, I know you gave out your channel. Any more information you want to give out for the people? I know you gave out the channel.
Oh,
but
you know what? Hey, I'm on Clubhouse giving smoke. That's even a better place, because Clubhouse will be super lit. It's a whole bunch of people on Clubhouse who don't agree with me. And every Friday night, I run a room called Friday Night Frankincense. Me and my homie Josh, who is the curator of Absolute Bible Truth. Come on and come holler at us. Our house is called Friday Night Frankincense. I also run a room called the Bible Dojo. And for anybody watching who know about Clubhouse, the only way your room gonna get any attention is when you bring on people who don't agree with your point. People ain't going on Clubhouse to just have kumbaya. So follow me on Clubhouse, Zadok the God Hop MC, and come holler at me as well. And for those of y'all who like good music, I am I've been told I'm a pretty dope music artist. Hey, type me in on Google, Chrome, or Safari, Mozilla. If you type in Zaydok, the rapper, I'm gonna come up. And if I adjure you, go check out my music. Even if you don't agree with me tonight, You might actually like some of my music though. Yeah.
Yeah. He fly with the music, and with his teaching. So he doing his thing. Y'all definitely go check him out. And Zadok, thank you for the shout outs. I appreciate
That's
that.
what's
Even on
up.
your channel, you always shouting me out. You always showing support. And I don't want to let that go unnoticed. I notice, and I appreciate all of it. Thank you for coming on the platform. You've been here for a while. You've been putting in work on Let's Talk Podcast. So thank you for all of that. You always make time to be here. I appreciate that. And I don't take it for granted. And I just thank you for coming here tonight and bringing your views, your opinion, your stats, and everything.
I
Now we'll
appreciate it. Thanks,
no
Rob.
problem.
I appreciate it, man. I ain't had no good smoke all this week. That's what's up.
All right, so Rob, I timed Zadok. He took about almost 8 minutes. He had like 7 and some change he used. So I want to give you that same amount of time. So go
Okay.
ahead.
Okay, I appreciate it, and I just want to say that even though I do not agree with Brother Zadok on this point, you know, I do respect him as a teacher, you know, as a fellow Bible teacher. I too am a Bible teacher as well, but I'm not going to use this time as far as my accolades. I just want to say that, you know, he would say things that just, I took my notes over here. Stats doesn't matter. They do matter. Okay. They tell a story right now. He's saying it doesn't tell these, you know, the minutia, these small little, you know, these little hairs, you know, it doesn't say those type of things. Well, they're not meant to do that. And they're proving another point, right? It's a completely different point. Like I said, the 51% is just who's available. Never said that they're all righteous, never said that they're all good or whatever. It's for those that where are all the men? Well, if I'm telling, if a woman is saying where are all the men, and I'm saying, well, 51% of men are not married and they don't have children. What I'm saying is that there are available men. I didn't qualify them if they're good, bad, or indifferent. I didn't qualify that. I'm just saying that they're there. Okay. And as far as vetting, you should vet men, period. Okay. You should, you should vet men, whether it's a father vetting a man for his daughter or the woman vetting a man, you should vet a man regardless, of the availability pool. So, we go from there. Now, he had mentioned, Kevin Samuel, right? This whole red pill movement isn't a morality movement. Okay. And again, I've already said multiple times, and I'll say it again. I'm not supporting adultery, which is a man sleeping with another man's wife. I'm not supporting fornication or anything like that. But what I'm saying is that red pill is not a morality movement and it's not a religious movement. Okay. We've read the definition. Okay. We read those things. Okay. It is just dramatically different information, right? You just wake up. You're like, oh man, I thought that most black men were criminals. And you find out that they're not statistically. Oh, I thought most black men are just baby daddies and have 4 or 5 baby mamas. And you look at the stats and you find out, okay, that narrative is a lie as well. You see what I'm saying? That kind of thing. Oh, black people, they don't, they don't have an education or whatever. And you see that that's not true, Oh, black people, they haven't invented anything. It's what I'm saying is this. What I'm saying is, the information, when the information comes forth, you wake up. Okay. It's an awakening. That's really what it's about. Right. So again, it's not a morality movement. So he's talking about Kevin Samuel, and saying his life. Well, he wasn't our moral guide whatsoever. This guy was uplifting men, telling them to wake up and be like, brother, you are the prize. Make something of yourself. But they don't listen to that part. They just they listen to the part blue pill. The blue pill community listen to the part where a woman got triggered, and you go from there. A lot of things from the blue pill side, and a lot of things that my opponent Zadok was saying was a bunch of word salad, right? No real definition of what you should do different, right? And then we're trying to shade it over to stop fornicating and stuff. But that's why I said, okay, there would be no fornication if women just said, hey, if you're not marrying me, you might as well keep it pushing, brother. And guess what? Men adapt. They just said, okay, well, I'm not going to even give me play. Now, remember, some men, they're going to be like, okay, well, I can't sleep with her because she said I got to marry her and I ain't got time for that. So he's going to move on, right? But she just preserved herself. Now, let's just say if women collectively said that, girls, let's unite. If they're not putting a ring on it, if they're not committing to us, we're not having sex with them. Men will adapt. That's just how it works because they are the gatekeepers of it. Okay. So I'm not talking about anything immoral. What I'm saying is the red pill is that you want to get, you get this information so that you have a different perspective and you start living in reality instead of this delusional matrix that modern women are living in. We're talking about modern dating, modern marriage and things like that. And I say stay away from modern women, period. Now, as far as, and his definition clearly of blue pill is way off. Now, in the beginning, he said something and most of it was correct. What he said at the end regarding that, they blur the lines. He conflates the two. That modern man, modern traditional, and all of it like is all the same. No, it's not all the same. That's why relationships are not working, because it's not the same. If it was the same, it would work. It's not the same. Okay. So he's talking about, and then he's talking about, men or this and that or whatever. First of all, men has never been really required of women. Women never really required a man to be a virgin. Men have required women in the past to be virgin. That's why we talk about this whole body count thing and having a very low body count. But women traditionally, you ask them, what do you look for in a man? None of them say virgin. None of them say virgin, right? And then he's also conflating that, okay, well, red pill guys, they're not traditional, and red pill women, they want red pill men, they want women to be traditional, but they themselves not traditional. And then he put it on, sex, but he didn't put it on what a traditional man actually is. See, a traditional man is a masculine man who is a protector. He's a provider. He's a leader. Now, if he's not those things, then yeah, he's not ready for marriage. But what I'm saying, he didn't go on what's traditional of men. Again, that's what the blue pill, they try to make everything equal. We're the same. I said earlier, how a woman shows her love. What did I say? Submissive and feminine and loyal. I said a man doesn't show his love that way. He shows it with commitment and protection and provision, things like that. We show our love different ways. But I'm telling you right now, this blue pill community guys, basically, they have no answer, right? They're just basically saying, just do what you've been doing. Just let them continue to step on their neck, okay? Just to let them, the modern women, step on your neck. Continue to let you be in relationships and you get emasculated. Continue for you to be disrespected. They have no solutions for any of that. What did he do all night? Try to just destroy the stats that actually was enlightening more people that say, hey, wait a minute. I got a shot. Wait a minute. I do need to do better. What is the red pill community? What do they tell you to do? Be better people. Become the best version of yourself. What are the 3 imperatives? What I say with high value Hebrew. First of all, when I did high value Hebrew instead of high value man, is because I told the host, Christina, I said high value man, and the difference between a high value man and a high value Hebrew is the moral component. That's why I keep peppering in. I don't support adultery. I don't support fornication and all that, because a high value Hebrew, it adds morality and character to a high value man. That's why I do that. And what are the 3 imperatives? Because we're talking about solutions. Okay, I want to get into the solutions. I'm going to put solutions in my clothes. First of all, gentlemen, don't date, mate, or procreate with modern women. The 3 imperatives. Increase your value, pursue your purpose, protect your seed. Increase your value, stack your chips, okay? Learn, educate yourself, travel, okay? You're better in your character, okay? I am of the Hebrew faith, so okay, get closer to Yah. Okay, now pursue your purpose. Pursue your Yah-given purpose. Why did he put you here? And you focus on that. Okay, you focus on that. You work. You become that. What are you, an author? Do that. You're an artist. Do that. You're a businessman, investor. Whatever you have to do, you do that. And lastly, protect your seed. Don't procreate with modern women. Don't go have multiple babies all over the place and not be responsible to them or whatever. Don't look at prawn. And I'm mispronouncing that word on purpose. Don't go to prawn sites looking at those kind of things. Don't go to strip clubs. Don't leave your seed at a sperm bank or anything like. Don't do that either. Don't do that. Protect your seed. Protect your future. Do not give yourself unto the wrong person. Only be yoked up with traditional women, and at the end, and I'm landing the plane, sister, I'm landing the plane right now. And at the end, everything will wash out. These modern women will wash away. It will be a cold winter for them. The ones who will survive this winter that is coming, the ones who will survive will be traditional women that are here in the U.S., the traditional one, because they're going to stand out. They're going to start looking more like lionesses instead of rolling with a pack of hyenas. And then the other women are the traditional women that are abroad. You can save yourself. If men save themselves, that's how you become accountable. The most powerful thing a man can do is leave. And as far as marriage, here's the other thing. You want to hold them accountable? And I'll close with this. You want to hold them accountable? Then in your marriage contract, first, don't get a United States marriage contract, okay? And yes, I did get one. Don't get a United States marriage contract. You have a marriage agreement, right? And in that agreement, You say, okay, here are the deal breakers. For instance, don't emasculate me, talk about my manhood or nothing like that. Don't get in my face and disrespect me. Don't commit adultery on me, and don't put your hands on me. If you do any of those things, then the marriage is over, right? Because what? The Most High is a God of covenants, right? And a marriage is an agreement, right? So if she breaks that agreement, and of course there's some responsibility on your part too, but if she breaks that agreement, you're gone. Because if she disrespects you or put her hands on you or whatever, you have no recourse, right? In the world, in the situation right now. So I'm giving you real solutions right there. You say, you put your hands on me, I can't hit you back. This relationship is over. You emasculate me and disrespect me or anything like that, okay? I'm not going to argue with you. It's over. You commit adultery on me, it's over, okay? So those are your solutions, gentlemen. High Value Hebrew.
All right, now share with the people where they can find you. Where
Okay,
can they
you
hit
can
you
find
up?
me.
Where can they find you?
You can find me both on YouTube and TikTok under High Value Hebrew. Now, if you want to go, for those who are interested in more of the biblical lessons, I don't talk about this, but biblical lessons, go to the Fountain of Israel on YouTube. Fountain, like a water fountain, Fountain of Israel. And that's why I just teach lessons. I teach biblical lessons. That's it. And I don't talk about this. I don't talk about red pill, blue pill, or anything like that. I talk about Bible, just Bible on that channel. So for lessons, Fountain of Israel. For more secular things, things, more practical things, then High Value Hebrew, both on YouTube. And then also High Value Hebrew is on TikTok. And I appreciate you guys. Oh, before I go, guys, like, share, subscribe. Tell a friend to tell a friend. This woman here is putting in the work, okay? So I said it before, she's like an octopus. She does 3,000 things in one day. I'm serious. And then she finds time to do these shows and put them together, okay? So Cash App, just support her because, she's a mother. She has a lot of children. She has a mother, and she's just really trying to make things happen. So she still has to be a mother 24/7. She's been up at wild hours of the night. I've talked to her at 2 or 3 in the morning. She really, really works hard, guys. So please like, share, subscribe to this channel. Tell a friend to tell a friend to tell a friend. Thank you guys for spending your time with us.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you, guys. Thank you, Zadok. Thank you, Robert Reed. I appreciate everybody. If you guys like what you saw tonight and you want to donate and you feel like you want to give something to the channel, definitely go to Cash App. Let's Talk Podcast 55. I want to give a shout out to Blacktastic. He sent $10 to support us and support our channel. I appreciate the love. I appreciate the support. Thank you guys again. Like and share. Also, you guys, we got a relationship show coming up. We're always talking about red pill and blue pill and passport bros and, what's the Black community doing wrong and what can we do better? Well, we actually have a Black couple. I hate to call it Black couple, but, that's the term. We have a couple that's going to be coming up on the show next Sunday, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and they're going to be talking about gender roles. What does that look like? Are people still subscribing to that type of idea? So make sure you guys come back here next Sunday, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Till then, hit that comment section up. Let's talk.